I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
It's good to see a big crowd here. It's supposed to be raining right now, so we got a break in that. Right. Anybody got any changes or anything to make to this agenda? If not, I'd entertain a motion to approve it.
Make a motion to approve the agenda.
Thank you, Jeff.
I'll second it.
Thank you, Sandra. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Hearing none. All right, council comments. Anybody got anything this evening?
I watched a lively planning board meeting and I appreciate everyone who showed up at that. And I appreciate our planning board and the hard work they're doing. And just want everyone to know we're listening.
Yeah,
We're listening. Coming.
we are listening. We'll do what we can. Manager's update.
Yeah, thank you, Mayor and Council. A few items of note for tonight. First, Earth Fest is coming up this Saturday from 1 to 3 p.m. here at the Mills River Park. We ask that anybody and everybody comes out. It's going to be a great time. Hopefully the weather holds out for us. There are things such as the pollinator awareness going on, learning about composting and vermicomposting. That's something, vermicomposting is new to me, so I had to learn what that is myself. There's going to be arts and crafts. Come on out and have your picture taken with the Easter Bunny. Bring the kids. And there's also going to be food trucks available as well. So it's going to be a great time here in the park. And so please, if you have the time and the ability to come out, we welcome you. Also, a couple other items. The nonprofit request deadline is April 14th. That's next Monday. So again, if you're looking to put in a nonprofit request for consideration through this budget cycle, we ask that you do that by 5 p.m. so that we have the time to review those applications and prepare for the April 24th council meeting. Information can be found further on our website. You may have seen some people around outside wearing yellow vests in the park that had TRC written on the back. TRC is contracted with the town to help us to further identify damages from Hurricane Helene as we work through the FEMA process. So as you all may imagine, the FEMA process can be a little cumbersome from time to time, but we want to make sure that we're identifying all of our damages in a timely manner to make sure that when we work through this process, that we get not only identified, but then we get reimbursed appropriately for the repairs that we get to make in the aftermath of Hurricane Helene. So if you see them out there, that's who they are. Now, you may see some other people wearing yellow vests out by the river. And so right now, the Mills River, as you may know, the Mills River itself, working with the county and working with the contractor, SDR, which is doing our debris removal in the town as well, just got approval a little while back for cleaning up the Mills River itself. And they're working from the intakes, so basically from Asheville's water intake upstream, and cleaning out storm debris as they move up. So you may have seen them back here by Hooper's Lane, working out the areas there. They've worked up through the park area, and they're going to continue to move up. So if you see, again, it's SDR, you may see L&S, which is Long and Son. There's another subcontractor that they're using, but they're working their way systematically, and I would say rather quickly, up the river to try to make sure that they're removing any storm debris that needs to be removed from the storm. And so if you have any questions, you're more than welcome to reach out to us at the town, but also reach out to the county, Henderson County, because it's a contract through them, but we're happy to help you in any way that we can if you have any questions. Last but certainly not least, I just want to introduce Julie Osteen, which is she is the town's new finance director. Julie, please stand up. Please welcome her. We're very excited to have her with us. So Julie is taking over from Sue Powell, who was our longest employee here with the town. And so after 22 years, Sue has earned a well-deserved retirement. And Julie has come in and hit the ground running for us. And we can't be more thrilled to have her with us. So she's joining us. She's coming to us from Saluda as well. But she, like I said, we're very excited to have her here. And that concludes my remarks.
Okay. Moving on to public comment. Normally in this, if you're speaking on behalf of yourself, we give it you 3 minutes. If you weren't speaking for a group, we'll give you 10, I think it is.
Yes, sir.
We won't cut you right off right there, but if you could, just so we can keep everything moving, we'll do it that way.
If I may,
Yeah.
Mayor Gantz, beforehand, if you are speaking on behalf of a group, I just ask that you identify that you're a spokesperson for a group so that we can make that adjustment
Okay.
on our side.
We also need to have the people that you're speaking for raise their hands so that they must be signed in, correct?
Yes, sir.
All right, Bonnie Bradley. Okay. All right, Ryan Baker.
My name is Ryan Baker. I live at 129 Angelina Lane in Mills River. That's the Mills River Crossing North neighborhood. I found out that I had a drainage issue 9 days after bringing my daughter home from the hospital when I waded through 3.5 feet of water to get to my crawl space. As I've gone down this rabbit hole of finding out about it, I know now that the city of Mills River, Henderson County, and the developer Big Hills have known about this drainage issue since 2020, and it still hasn't been fixed. It's 2025. So I'm here today to ask the city council to issue a stop work order on any permits for building throughout Mills River under the name of Big Hills until they bring this up to code.
I think it's Marlon McGee. Mary Ann
You
McGee.
got that name
Gotcha.
just right. That's pretty rare. So yes, I'm Marlon McGee. I'm a homeowner in Mills River Crossing South. And we moved, for those that were at the Planning Commission, thank you. I'm saying basically the same thing, but it was a different group here. We moved from Omaha, Nebraska to enjoy the peace and quiet and beauty of Mills River. That's why we came here. Before we purchased our house, we looked all around all over the place, and we found a house that we liked. We asked our builder and their realtor on several occasions, what would happen to the agricultural field that was adjoining our property? And every single time, the answer was they were going to build houses there similar to ours. And I mean, I've got that documented. I think we probably have it on tape too. But that's just what they said every single time. I'm just saying that now that we learned that they're trying to get storage sheds back there, every time a storage shed door is opened or closed, I will hear it. Every time. Every time a moving van truck opens or closes their back door, I will hear it. Peace and quiet of the neighborhood will be gone. I mean, we'll be looking at from our house to hundreds of storage sheds. Our house goes down, the other field behind goes up, and there's just storage sheds right there. Lighting, one of the things that I enjoy, I don't know if others do, but one of the things that I enjoy is go out at night, put my phone aside, turn off the TV, go outside when it's dark and look at the stars. It's very relaxing. And now we're going to have the lighting from those storage sheds are going to just absolutely destroy the peacefulness of the evening and looking at them. I mean, that may not be a big deal to some people, but it is to me. And that's one of the reasons we bought this house. That's why we wanted to move there, was because we had an area there where there weren't a lot of lights, and they're going to have other houses like ours. That's fine, but it's not the same as a storage shed. I've done a lot of work in storage sheds in the middle of trying to find my house, so I kind of know what that is like. I was one of those. So we'll turn around at night and those lights will be on, and it'll just kind of take away our peace from forever. Then there's this ludicrous idea of putting a walking trail around that. This is a field. I don't know if you've seen it. It's a field right now. And they're every now and then they grow crops there, which has been fun actually when they have their soybeans and corn back there. But now they want to put a walking trail all the way around, right against just only feet from our property, and with the access to it from Wilson Highway. And so all you have to do is park a car. It can be anybody. There's no restriction. Park your car there, walk the trail, and then walk across into our neighborhood. The plans show a bridge coming across into our neighborhood. we're supposed to have a gated community. This is another reason we bought this. We wanted a gated community. Now we're going to let into our community anybody that just,
You're 3 minutes up. Just wind it up. for me
okay,
if you can.
no, okay, so, um, I'm just asking for your help, if anything you can do, to block or deny this proposal. It's not what any of us wanted. It's not what we were told. So, thank you.
Thank you. Cheryl Chamberlain? No, Cheryl Chamberlain?
She's on.
Oh, oh, okay. Stuart DeGraff?
Just wanted to provide you guys with
Okay.
3 copies. I'm sorry if there's not.
That's okay.
So my name is Stuart DeGraff. My wife Sandy and I moved to Mills River from Maryland after purchasing a new home in Mills River Crossing South in December of 2022. The home was built by Big Hills Construction. We chose this home and area for retirement because of its convenience, convenient location between Hendersonville, Brevard, Arden, and Asheville, its proximity to Pisgah National Forest, and its family-friendly small-town rural charm. In 2024, we voted for the Mills River Rural Residential Rezoning Initiative to preserve these qualities of Southwest Mills River. At the time of our purchase and for months thereafter, Big Hills advertised a 35-acre area between MRCS and Highway NC 280 as an additional phase of residential development for MRCS, with homes similar to ours. The construction manager, Danny Gaga, assured us and other buyers that this land would not be developed commercially. He explicitly stated that the land would not be used for commercial storage units, of which several others exist along NC 280, just north of Mills River Crossing. So I've included this diagram that shows the area where we're talking. And they are actually numbered lots 1 through 25. Consequently, we were stunned to learn via the grapevine rather than through formal notice that Big Hills had drawn up plans and submitted them to the Mills River Town Council and Planning Board to develop this land as a complex of commercial storage units surrounded by a walking path. The purpose of the walking path is to satisfy a legal requirement that would allow Big Hills to build an additional 19 homes in our sister development, Mills River Crossing North. And that's the new plan. Okay, we object strenuously to the proposed commercial development and walking paths for numerous reasons. First, it is common sense, obvious, and implicit that residential walking paths should reside within the residential development. Omission of an explicit legal statement to this effect is not a valid justification for residents of MRCN to either risk their lives crossing NC 280 on foot or being compelled to drive their car roughly 1 mile to use their walking paths. How could any rational person consider this to be reasonable? Further, who would want to walk around paths that meander through a complex of ugly storage units? Second, both MRCN and MRCS are gated communities, and as planned, there will be public access to MRCS via roads and paths in the storage complex. This access will be hidden from public view and could be readily exploited for nefarious or criminal behavior. Obviously, this subverts the purpose of MRCS being a gated community. Third, it's unreasonable for our homeowners association to pay for the upkeep of publicly accessible and trashable walking paths that we did not ask for and do not want. In fact, we homeowners do not yet have access or control of our homeowners associations.
I'll have to hold you up a minute because your 3 minutes is up. Now, this right here is an excellent idea for anybody that comes forward to bring them, because if your time is up, we can still take these and read them. but I'm gonna have to hold you up in this.
Okay.
Because we still got a whole lot to do tonight, and you're welcome to stay for a little bit of that too, and talk to us afterwards,
Okay.
okay?
Thanks, sir.
So next is, Shelley, I'm gonna botch this one, Shelley Mata?
I decline.
Okay. Hector, just come on up, my friend. I'll know you after this is over with.
Imagine learning that when you're 5 years old.
Oh, I know, it is, yeah. Yeah, probably won spelling bees after that one, didn't
People there as.
you? Okay, I got you. Thank you. That's a great idea.
Thanks so much.
Yep.
I have a fancy house.
That's okay.
Yeah, I sent it through email, so you all should have it on your.
We got it.
Awesome. Well, thank you for having me and hearing us out. Essentially, the community, we envisioned in Mills River North. Well, my name is Hector Abelaris, 99 Milano Drive, so it's on the record.
Okay.
The community we envisioned in Mills River Crossing North and what was advertised, right? If you see in there, you could go to their website today and it's still the same advertisement. So essentially they advertised a 50 home development and it's still there. It was on the billboard, it's on their website to this day. It showed 3 acres of dedicated community space and it showed 2 dog parks. And basically we got none of that now. So I mean, they were explicit promises and these were legally binding things. You can't just advertise things and then say, no, we changed our mind, after. And all the residents on Milano Drive, which is where I live, we specifically bought there because it's a cul-de-sac. I have 3 children. I have a 5, a 7, and a 10-year-old. And the reason I bought there was because my kids could ride their bikes and they could be safe. It's somewhere it's nice. People walk their dogs up and down the streets because there are no sidewalks. And what they're trying to do is use a loophole to put this walking trail around some storage units a mile away from me where I got to cross a highway. And the intent of that law is so you have somewhere safe to walk around your neighborhood, right? So like why don't they just put it in a Pisgah Forest? Like it makes no sense what they're trying to do. And, it's not unusual for them anyway. So it's been a betrayal of trust. The developer's actions contradict all the original agreements. Overdevelopment overburdens the roads, and it's a safety crisis. The proposed expansion jeopardizes residents' safety over there. So right now, those roads are real narrow, and with the addition of 19 homes, that's going to put us at 68 homes with 1 entrance and 1 exit. So, fire trucks coming in. There was a fire at the street, this little warehouse in front, not too long ago. And that entrance was blocked off for like 3 or 4 hours. Residents were turned away. Nobody could go in and out. So, that's a huge problem having just that 1 entrance there. But now this is going to increase the volume of residents coming in and out. We estimate to increase to be about 112 round trips per day. And the absence of sidewalks exacerbates this issue, placing most vulnerable residents, children and pedestrians at an unacceptable level of risk. How are you going to walk your dogs with dump trucks coming out up and down the street? So, this is a call for accountability, prioritizing safety over profit. So the negligence in planning, a blatant disregard for safety. How does Big Hill's construction proposal align with the town of Mills River's fundamental safety requirements for residents of the community? Where's the comprehensive traffic study that justifies this radical change in the density within that small community? I think times have changed and there needs to be a new traffic analysis. Has Big Hill's construction adequately addressed the increased strain on the existing infrastructure? Well, obviously he's already talked about the infrastructure is not enough for what we got now. It's built wrong. Now they're going to add 19 homes on there, adding more strain on that. And then the diminished quality of life, broken promises. The true cost of development is degrading a living experience, just like the North and the South are saying. We all moved here. I moved here from Miami, lived over in Biltmore Park, and I didn't like it. It was too big city for me. So we moved to Mills River intentionally to get away from all that. Just a couple things. I have Bonnie's minutes, so she was kind enough to give me this.
That's all right.
But just, in the North Carolina law, this is addressing the the walking trail, and we all know it's trying to get a loophole. But if a property is not located within the legal boundaries of the HOA development as defined in the governing documents as recorded plats, it is not part of the common elements or the responsibility of the HOA. Not only do they want to put it a mile away, have you cross a highway to get there, they want us to pay for it. They want us to fund it, the maintenance, like it's insanity. What is the purpose and intent of the Mills River Code 153 for subdivisions? So the purpose of the Mills River Code 153 specifically regarding subdivisions is to promote health, safety, and general welfare through proper planning. This is not proper planning. We have a simple ask: hold Big Hills accountable, enforce compliance of the town, county, and or state codes before allowing them to build another development. Make sure they fix what they already started before they start doing another one. Add a walking trail if they want to, or sidewalks that actually are in the community. Or at least at minimum, have them have a separate construction entrance while they're building. So it's not 3 years of trucks coming up and down our streets that are not built to support big trucks, dropping gravel and nails and everything all over the place for the kids and the dogs walking around. If they can have a separate construction entrance, at least for the time that they're building, and we won't have that gate open exposing us.
I'm gonna stop you right there, Hector, but I appreciate it,
Yes, sir.
and we'll get through to everybody else, and then I'll have some comments when we get through. Nobody leave
Appreciate
me.
you,
I
Bob.
have some comments.
Thank you.
All right, we got Susan McHugh.
Hi, thanks for all the time you spend making Mills River a better place. I like what you're doing in the town center. When come in the evening, sometimes people are friendly, kids are playing, family, all that. It's a really good thing. My favorite are the novice pickleball players, because I swear I think that they have visions of pro-am status. I don't know, but I share their enthusiasm for being able to do things like this in town. But what concerns me are all the things that you've already heard, and you probably heard some rumors from the planning committee early. We need your help. We need what you said in our vision statement, because I spent some time looking at the comprehensive plan. The vision statement kind of has this part of it that says, we're open to new ideas and looking at things differently to make things better. We need your help with that, because I don't know the ordinances and I don't know the nuances of things, but a trail that the north side has to walk or drive to a mile away on a busy highway defeats the whole idea of health, family, safety. The public using our land, the ongoing cost of maintaining the trail and the land on the outside of the storage units are deemed an easement. The cost of maintaining that for all years in the future slides to the HOA. I'm not an attorney, but the way that it's phrased in their proposal is that it will be shared by the 3 HOA entities equally. We're 44 houses. One of the entities is 19 houses. One is 50-ish. It just seems poorly drafted, poorly thought out. There was no involvement with the community, no collaboration with how do we make this fit the vision of Mills River with the values of inclusiveness, talking to each other, friendliness. It just doesn't fit. And I think the planning committee board, of course, knows so much more about it than I do and has their old stories. You have your stories. I think they need your support, because I think they heard the frustration that people had. And I just ask that you do that out of the goodness of your hearts. Thank you.
Okay. Next I got Mandy Helwing. Sorry, I think that. Yeah,
I am
hey,
Mandy Hellwig, and I live at 398 Daniel Circle Drive in Mills River Crossing South. I too am here to voice objections to the pending development proposals from Big Hills Construction to develop the self-storage facility directly behind our neighborhood and to surround it with a publicly accessible walking trail offsite from our community that we would be responsible for maintaining as others have described. To start, the development proposals conflict,
gotcha.
bless you, with the purposes of the subdivision ordinance, which include providing for orderly growth and development, promoting environmental quality, and protecting and enhancing ownership and land values, none of which would be achieved through the proposals at issue. The proposals are also at odds with the town's future vision for the area, pursuant to the Making Mills River 2040 Comprehensive Plan, the future land use vision map, and the town's rural residential rezoning effort. The town envisioned and intended for our neighborhood and the abutting land to be rezoned as rural residential. Even the staff report on the builder's Phase 4 development proposal acknowledges this projected future land use classification, noting that desirable land uses include agriculture, parks and public space, trails and recreation, and estate lots, and acceptable land uses encompass single-family residential, civic and community, and schools, consistent with the comprehensive plan. The town's land use vision lists commercial, industrial, and multifamily uses as undesirable in this area and recommends limiting non-residential uses to keep these areas rural and maintain Mills River's small town character. So while we recognize that official rezoning efforts are on hold pending consideration of the state law limiting local downzoning, the proposed development scheme at issue does not fit in with the planned growth and development or the preservation goals of Mills River. So like many here, we would ask that the town recognize this and ultimately deny the submitted proposals. So thank you very much.
Thank you. Next I got Andrew Goldstein. Hey,
Can you turn on the air conditioning in here? Hot.
it's on some kind of fixed thing here. I don't know if we even got the
Break this
maintenance
off.
people here. Open some windows. We'll open windows. They probably just wait this also.
Thank you.
Okay,
Sure.
go ahead when you're
Oh,
ready.
sure. Good evening. My name's Andrew Goldstein. I live at 627 Daniel Circle Drive. Pleasure to meet y'all. As a resident of Mills River Crossing South, much like many of my neighbors, I was really kind of shocked to learn that the developers at Big Hills are proposing taking land that has been promised for years, as you've heard, as a residential space to instead construct an out of place, unnecessary, and no surprise to you, deeply unwanted commercial storage complex. Again, certainly don't have to tell you, but it's obvious that this runs in direct conflict with the broader goals of the community to preserve this rural residential area. And, we do need your help, the help of community leadership of the planning board as well, to bring some common sense into the equation. And I use the words common sense for a reason. In the recent planning council meeting, I did struggle to find some common sense applied in judging the adherence to the various ordinances at play. I readily admit I'm not a lawyer nor an expert in the ordinances, but I'd like to think I have common sense. And while I find it laudable that the planning committee staff aims to treat all proposals objectively, such that no applicant is unfairly disadvantaged, I do think that their evaluation of the walking trail in particular has swung so far as to be unfair to the people in this room and to the community. And that's not all right either. And I'll explain. In evaluating the requirements for the sidewalk or the walking path, the latter having some less explicit instruction, I understand, it's been raised that the ordinance does not explicitly spell out that it has to be on the property it serves. The idea that it could meet the requirement and not be on the property it serves instead encircling an unrelated commercial property, it just runs completely counter to common sense as I'm concerned. There's a tipping point where we can just abandon reason in ignoring the very obvious intent of a rule or an ordinance. Someone asked earlier, could it be in Pisgah Forest? Could it be in Charlotte? Could it be in Dallas? The ordinance doesn't say it can't be. Could it be on the moon or buried 6 feet underground? Well, it doesn't state that it can't be. But while the ordinance doesn't explicitly address any of these, frankly, kind of dumb possibilities, any sane person will know that a walking path for a community is meant to be in the community. I don't consider that a subject for interpretation. I can consider that plainly obvious. And it's not our fault that the builder didn't plan appropriately to construct these paths within the communities they serve if they reached a certain building threshold that required it. So, as many others have, I ask you to please do what you can in conjunction with the planning board, using the law as your leverage to recommend a refusal of this very unwelcome proposal. So thank you for your time.
Thank you. All right, I got another piece of paper. Jenny Sheila, you ready?
Yep.
Okay.
So, hey y'all. Jenny Seeley, 94 Clares Trail. I actually only have one thing I want to bring up tonight because y'all seen the planning board meeting and these lovely people are here yet again. So, I am here to request that we add another enforcement person to our budget, whether that be next year or the year after. I am honestly looking at our ordinances, which are very broad and really bland. We've never defined Mills River in that context. I think it's high time to do that, and I'm going to work with the board to do that. We're going to be busy, and we're going to need somebody to enforce it because right now we only got Mike and we got Kevin. So I think going forward in the next 2 years, we're definitely going to need that extra person to get out there, maybe get ahead of some of the stuff if we see it happening fast enough to call it quits before we get this deep. So appreciate you, appreciate the staff. They have helped me a lot. So and continue to help me. So thank y'all.
Thank you. Jeff Young. You want to wait till then? Yeah, if it works for me, it works for you. All right. Anybody else here for public comment that hadn't got a chance to speak? Come on up. You have to give us your name and your address, and I'll let you know everybody's on 3 minutes if you're speaking in behalf of yourself.
Okay. My name is Mitchell Shulman. I live at 68 Angelina Lane in Mills River Crossing North. So I believe we're here due to a comedy of errors, one mistake after another. And the examples you've heard tonight, and if you were at the planning meeting, you heard them as well. And the question I have is, where is the accountability and responsibility of Mills River, in all of this? One example is the detention issues we have in Mills River Crossing North. How in the world does the detention get built and completed in the neighborhood get completed, and the detention was put in incorrectly? I mean, no oversight, nothing happened. Where does that fault lie? I understand Big Hills is the developer, but I do financing for all kinds of real estate projects, and have not come across a situation where the developer went in and built it out, and it seemed like nobody went in to do any type of inspections for the infrastructure to make sure it was correct. And that's what I see here. As a result, two houses were flooded, one twice, and the issue is still not fixed, and we don't know what the resolution is going to be for getting that fixed. And it just doesn't affect the 2 homes that have been flooded, but everybody in the neighborhood, because it's a flood issue. And we have homes that are for sale in the neighborhood, and it's going to affect the values and the saleability of the homes in the neighborhood, because it's eventually going to get out. It goes back to, I guess, part of the original application from the developer where he submitted one neighborhood. That's 2 parcels of land separated by a 5-lane highway. And as a result of that, originally, no sidewalks were approved in the application because it wasn't necessary at the time. Later on, they acquired another piece of land and somehow got it approved to be associated with the development with no forethought, it seems like, from the city of Mills River on if he builds more homes, that's going to create a need for sidewalks. And according to the code, all of a sudden now we need sidewalks in Mills River Crossing North and Mills River Crossing South. And the correction of that mistake seems to be putting in a walking trail on a commercial piece of property outside the neighborhood. As you just heard the last person speak, it's not even an amenity in the neighborhood, and it has public access. And so now we feel like we're paying for a public amenity, right? And how nice for Mills River and the rest of the folks in the community, but for folks in the South, it's a private gated community that now has access into their neighborhood. So it's no longer a private gated community, something they paid for when they bought their houses. Folks in the North who are going to have to pay for this, guess what? We're never going to use it. It's across the street. So, and to retroactively, require this seems to be something, as you said, doesn't seem to make a lot of sense. To me, the answer would be you amend the application, you separate the two neighborhoods. There's no sidewalk requirement, therefore the walking trail issue goes away. Seems to be a really separate thing. The other thing it helps the homeowners is we still don't have our HOA. I mean, 4 years and the developer still has the HOA. And if you had separated them, at least the South would have theirs and maybe the North would have theirs, because there's things in the neighborhood that need to be done to take care of it. And that's not happening. The other thing is the roads. I mean, the roads in the North, they were supposed to repair and fix after the development, which they haven't. And now there's going to be construction traffic through the neighborhood that's going to tear it up more. And who's going to pay for
I
that?
gotta wrap you up. but-
Okay. So just in summary, I think a lot of decisions and mistakes have been made, and I think it's honestly, at this level.
I'm gonna address a lot of that.
Okay, good, because it's creating significant harm for 100 families who are good taxpayers and good neighbors and good community folks. And we feel like
Okay.
Big Hills is running roughshod over us, and we feel like you guys are letting them.
You heard yourself say. All right, you heard yourself say. All right, so anybody else for public comment? If, come on, yep. You make sure you give us your name.
Name and address, please.
Name and address, please.
My name is Bonnie Bradley. I'm at 120 Melania. We moved in October of 20, the end of October. Big Hills doesn't always tell the truth. I'm just reading this one comment
Okay.
that my daughter got from Big Hills. Her question was, I would like to know the plan for repaving the roads after construction is complete. And that was answered. The top coat will be done after phase 2 is complete. No construction traffic. That's one comment was made and answered. We went to a meeting in the playground and asked them, why aren't we being repaved? He goes, oh, no, it can't be said. People raised their hands. I'm sure I could get these people to write an affidavit saying it was said. But Art, who's also at Big Hill, says, but Peter will give you a good price to have it all repaved. So how can you put this into an email, and then they say he doesn't work here anymore and not be accountable for it? And so now it's Angelina, Solomia, and ours is not as bad because that was traveled. Their roads are getting really bad. And he didn't adhere to his thing here, and he'll get away with a lot more. Also, when we got on Melania, I asked why this one lot was vacant. They said, oh, the way it was situated didn't support a septic tank. Obviously, he had this plan to go through it for a long time. It looks like a cul-de-sac, and now he wants to go through it. That's wrong. And also, where I live, it has a probably 6-foot dip right behind that. And there are a lot of people, I feel bad for the people that have 3 feet, but there are a lot of people even on our street that have not a lot of water coming in, but it's coming in. And if that's more water that's coming down, with the water flow, it shows it will, there's going to be more of our homes being flooded out. And some kind of test has to be done for that too. And that's all I have to say.
Okay. All right, thank you. Anyone else? Anyone else? All right. So I'm gonna start with saying that, yeah, I'm a builder and I've developed land before. You know, we have no engineers on staff here. They could go out and look at all this, you know, they wouldn't know. So you know who we rely on, as well as the state on these subdivisions that they take over, is the previous engineers hired by Big Hills. That's who you have to rely on. And I'm being honest. I mean, that's the stuff you guys need to know. I mean, if I go develop 30 acres, I hire my own surveyors, my own soil scientists. Does this sound familiar? And then we get our engineers to design all our culverts, all our drainage, everything, and put it in. There is somebody responsible for that. And that's whoever hired the engineer group, and the engineer has to stand behind their stamp. I can't really let this turn into a question and answer session. We'll be here till midnight, but I'm just telling you some basics. You know, I think y'all need to lobby. I'm speaking in behalf of, for y'all, not town, because I have no qualms with it. But y'all need to lobby for your HOA. You need to get power of that. And you can control your destiny a lot sooner. Now they're gonna have to relinquish that to you guys at some point. You know, usually in something we would do, we'd have a number in there. Somewhere's in there. And I will tell you, I've lived here my whole life. When they first started that project, you know where those two abutments are on right when you turn in to go? There was a big sign there. And on that sign, the whole front of that thing showed retail all the way down 280, down the whole front of 280. And as soon as they realized how much them houses was going to sell for, guess what? They tore that sign down as quick as they could. Now, I'm being an honest Indian here. I mean, because this really don't pay me a whole lot of money. But I'm telling you, it's what I know. I got a group in front of me that needs to hear some truth. You need to contact Henderson County's building department. They can tell you some stories too. And I think everybody needs to know about that. It's public record. Ain't nothing. Just go out there and talk to Crystal Light. She's got a filing cabinet for every one of y'all's houses.
Mr. Mayor, can I add a couple things?
Yeah, sure. But
One at a time.
yeah. So, and then when it comes to, and my hands are tied in these books. I've got, you know, somebody said, I think Miss Magoo said, if just out of the goodness of your heart. Well, this job up here, I can't be out of the goodness of my heart. I got a ordinance book I have to go by. This ain't it, but I've got an ordinance book I got to go by, and I have to rely on my staff to make sure that what's in there gets done. And it has got done. That's the problem we're into right now. We tried to get ahead of this. We had a public meeting over at the school back in October, and tried to get everybody we could, because we knew they wouldn't fit in here, to try to rezone it, to try to get control of it. They're going up 280 like wildfire, trying to buy everything they can get their hands on, because everybody wants to live in Mills River. But I'm going to speak in front of the camera. What they're doing, I don't want in Mills River. I don't. As the mayor of Mills River, if it was anything inside that ordinance book I could do, I'd have done stopped their asses. I don't like it a bit. You know, I see what's going on. I'm a builder. Been doing it my whole life. I know right from wrong. I go down the road, I look over and I see crazy stuff going on. I call Crystal at the impact spot. She said, Shannon, we turn it down before they get there. They're signing, their engineers are signing off on it, stamping it. That's where I'm at with it. That's where Shannon Gantz, the mayor of Mills River, is at with it. You know, if it was me, if that was me, you know what happened? Well, I wouldn't be in this kind of shape, but a group like this would get together and lawyer up on me. And that's a hint if anybody will take it. But I'm just telling you, I don't like it a bit more than y'all like it. This walking trail, they're trying to get a loophole in there. I get it. But all they're trying to do is our hands are going to be tied, because what they're trying to do is in our books that we tried to reconcile back in October and get ahead of this. But let me tell you something else y'all need to know. Y'all, each one need to go home, just like you've emailed me, every one of you. You need to email Tim Moffitt and Jennifer Balkum. because they have got my hands tied even worse now than they've ever been. I can't do anything to help you right now. Zero. I can't even go change it for any land they're trying to buy on up to 280. I can't change nothing. I'm frozen in time. I might as well be home watching TV. So I'm about as pissed as y'all are about it. But that's where I'm at with this. But their engineers designed every bit of this stuff in there, and their engineers are stamping on all their construction stuff. And I know what y'all are going through. Trust me, I do. And I hate it with a passion, but my hands are tight right now. But y'all have enough people. Y'all should be able to pull some kind of leverage here. You're just going to have to work together on it. But you know where I'm at with it right here. I'm telling you where I'm at with it, but I can't do but what's in my book. And what they're trying to get in there is sort of in my book. There's no way, we don't see a way to block it. We tried to get ahead of it, but even if we had they made it retroactive 6 months back behind that. To where if we'd have done it, we'd have had to done it 6 months before. But they say they didn't put that in there for us, and I kind of believe them, but there's got to be somebody else in our shape that they did it for. I'm gonna let him talk a minute so I cool off.
You can tell we're, as a
Pretty
board,
passionate about it.
we all display our passion different ways. So, I'm an engineer. I have a seal, I have a stamp. My engineer, my license, I'm licensed in North Carolina, South Carolina, Georgia, Florida, hoping to get Tennessee. When I stamp something, it's my word. When I stamp a traffic impact analysis and turn that in, that becomes a legal document. Or something that I have sealed to be questioned is not easy. But if we're talking what we'd like to see, I would like to see at some point an engineer retained by the town, paid for by the developers to go back and check things, an engineering consultant. As much as I would love to have an engineer on staff because they're pretty handy,
they'd be the highest paid person on our payroll probably, to be honest with you.
Yeah, it depends on whether they're doing it for fun or, yeah. But seriously, maybe that's something, and I'm sorry to drop that on you tonight, Mr. Carahan, but I just was thinking about that and talking about it with some friends today that, it would be handy. I do know other municipalities that do that. When I turn in a traffic study, they have a consultant that goes back behind me and checks. But anyway, that being said, one of the things that requested for tonight, and unfortunately we weren't able to make it happen tonight, perhaps maybe next meeting, is have our attorney here.
Yeah, we tried to have our attorney here.
And so what we'll do is your comments, some of our concerns, some of the things that we will send separately to Mr. McCarahan. And I love him, so I'll just call him Matt. I hope he doesn't mind. Anyway, we will send these comments and have her look at and help us address. Because frankly, we need an attorney here. It's an expense, but it's expensive to do business and to do business properly, because of the things we say as a council can be interpreted and then can be litigated if we're not careful how we say it. But to have the attorney here to guide us in what we can say and what we can ask. For instance, I think it's totally reasonable to go back and check some as-built plans and make sure, trust but verify. We've all heard that. We've heard you. I watched the whole planning meeting, and I'm grateful for everyone that showed up. But so what can we do to make sure that promises made are promises kept, and do promises not made? And I'm not saying there are no promises not made. For the legal record, I'm just saying that if we somehow find out that promises are not being kept, is that a way for us to tell our planning board? I don't think the planning board's a rubber stamp. Now, they are a technical review board. If the T's are crossed and the I's are dotted, then the decision is pretty well made. But how do we verify that the T's have been crossed and the T? This is a phase of an existing development. which then implies that the whole development is in compliance. And that's, that's what drove the walking path, which should have been sidewalk. We all know it should have been sidewalk. But then again, like the mayor said, we do have our ordinances in place that we got to go by. And one of the reasons he asked, and thank you for contacting Senator Moffitt and Representative Balcom, we're told by the state government what we can and can't do. We're not allowed to freelance. So, contacting them is a really good thing. So sorry for getting on my soapbox too long. I will say we appreciate what you're saying. We've heard you. And like the mayor says, we'll do what we can against, our hands may be tied, but we're going to have raw wrists from fighting them.
I will say one other thing. When them engineers, and I'm hoping he'll back me up on this as he is one, is when they're out there, when they draw this stuff up, as it goes in, maybe not the engineer himself, but some of his staff is usually there. I hate to use this as an example, but DOT, you go down the road and there's several working, there's one or two sitting around in trucks. Well, every once in a while, them guys get out and make sure them other 15 did it right. Well, that should have been happening in y'all's subdivision. It's big enough, it's engineered, it should have been. Should have been. And then as soon as they seen they had a problem, that engineer should have addressed it. Should have addressed it.
And that's true. And as-built plans are public record once they're turned in. And, that's something anybody can take a look at and go take a look at. Anyway.
Any other council members got anything? Go ahead.
And I just want to add, I appreciate you guys being there. If you think that our hands are cuffed now, go look at some of the legislation that's being proposed right now by the state, and it actually handcuffs us even more.
Yeah.
For example, there's bills out there like if we allow single family dwellings, we have to allow 4 houses per acre by default, that we can't go any tighter than that. So, and that was the primary sponsor by Senator Moffitt. So our state's for sale to developers, and the legislation, the General Assembly in Raleigh is doing their fair share to make sure that it happens. So you have got to speak out, stand up, and make sure that they know that you're against it.
7,000 people in the river.
And me, Mr. Kimball, and Mr. McCanahan did go on special appointment to Jennifer Balcom and Tim Moffitt. January? Time flies. February or early February.
I believe it was February, yes.
February, we went and spoke our piece about this in their offices, because I'd asked them to come to 3 of our meetings and they didn't show up. So we asked for a meeting down there. So we drove all the way to Raleigh and hollered and screamed at them, just like I did in here. I'm not bashful when it comes. If I don't like it, I'm like you guys. I'm going to say what I think. So that's where I'm at with it. So no, we are trying, but no, our hands are tied more now than ever. James, you got anything?
No. I appreciate everybody's sentiment. I'm a little bit quiet and reserved about it. They've heard me say this before. I always get like the skin crawls on the back of my back because our hands are tied with 382 and now there's 266. You can look that one up too. That's a fun one. That it just takes one snaky developer is listening, knows they can get around all these rules right now. So I hear you. I understand, but it's a interesting time we're in.
For sure.
Just for the record, March 4th.
March 4th. Okay. Sandra, you got anything?
I do. I appreciate all y'all coming out, and it's been an eye-opener, and I do appreciate it. I have stood for landowners having rights, but in seeing what y'all are going through, the landowner's not the problem, it's the developer. And when the developer comes in here and gets a hold of property and starts doing what they said they wouldn't do, and there's nothing you can do about it, your hands are tied. And that's not something that I'm appreciating. So I think that we definitely need to look at some rezoning when we can to get things under control. And we need to take care of what we have and make sure they're doing things right and not just finding loopholes to slip things through and cost the residents money on the end and making them miserable for moving here, because that's not what we want at all. That's not what Mills River's about. So I appreciate the planning board meeting and listening to everybody, and I do see the need.
Okay. Council's got nothing else. We're gonna move on with our regular agenda. Y'all welcome to stay and hear the rest of it. A motion to approve our consent agenda.
Make a motion to approve consent agenda.
All right.
I'll
Jeff
second.
and Brian. All in favor?
Aye.
Get that.
If I may suggest, Mr. Mayor, maybe just wait a minute or two as
We'll
we
take a
transition.
break.
They're good talking.
Y'all are leaving before the DOT talks. I don't know how fortunate we are to have our DOT folks.
Yeah.
We got the cream of the crop.
We do. Matt, is Brent here?
It's right there.
Okay, yes. Thank you.
All right.
All right.
All right, yes, yes, sir. So the first item under our regular agenda is a presentation from our friends over at Ag HC. So Brent, if you can, please come up, introduce yourself, and you should have a clicker up there or some, no, there you go, sir.
Hey, good evening.
Good evening.
Appreciate the time this evening for me to come speak to you guys. Took over as the director of Ag HC at the end of October. And I wanted to kind of give you guys an update of what I've been working on the last few months, where we're going as an organization, all tied into nonprofit funding requests as well. Myself, I grew up in Henderson County. I'm a fourth generation apple grower, live out in Endyville. My wife and I manage Bearwalla Valley Farms, grow apples primarily, but we do row crops. We've got some pasture poultry that my wife's doing some research projects on ducks and chickens. But I'm passionate about farming. I'm passionate about agriculture, passionate about this area. I spent about 6 years away from here and I couldn't get back quick enough, just after college. Like I said, I grew up here, I was born and raised. I graduated from East, went to Clemson University, graduated from there, spent about 14 years in manufacturing, and then decided to come back to the farm to try to keep farmland in this county. I'm on 40 acres. It's been in my family for over 100 years, and I hope it stays that way as long as I'm alive. At least give my kids a chance to do what they want to with it. AgHC is an organization. We were formed in 2011. We're a 501c6. We've got 17 board members. A pretty diverse group of board members. Farmers make up the majority, but we've also got supporting industry and other groups associated. We've got 61 members right now. The impact AgHC has had on this county is unquestioned. Over 193 million in capital investments. We do a good bit of education outreach monthly, and then as needed, if more is needed, we do it. Basically, it's a listen and learn. It's a way for us to communicate to government officials, local officials, even industry, what farmers are up against, what challenges we're facing, and then in turn, educate farmers new ways, new programs, and farmland preservations top on our list, top on the county's list. I believe in the comments I've heard here, if we had more farmland, I think a lot of these problems would be resolved in themselves. Our mission to promote economic development of agriculture and agribusiness in Henderson County. We're a economic development partnership. Like I said, we've got members of construction, ag service, banking, even education, all members, and we use them, utilize them every method to achieve our mission. How we support our mission, whether you're a big farm or small farm, it doesn't matter. Honestly, it doesn't really matter if you're a member or not. If you need help, call me. Contact information will come up later, but production and marketing, education, resource connections, and coordinating projects. Several different projects have directly impacted Mills River, and currently are going through expansions right now. So our vision, a thriving agriculture community where innovation, sustainability, and collaboration can drive economic growth, environmental stewardship, and high quality life for everyone in Harrison County. County as a whole, about 33,000 acres of farmland. 16% of that is apples. Forage for hay is 11%, and then corn and vegetables each make up 5%. There's a big one missing in the sod that wasn't reported. This is from the ag census from 2022. Since 2022, since 2017, we've lost about 8,356 acres of farmland. The average farm size has decreased 30%. I think it's right around 68 acres is the average now. I'm below average. Our farm's 40. Cost, one indicator I saw or metric I found intriguing was that production expenses are 9% higher than the market value currently is of the crops in this county. We make a good product. We're just having trouble getting it sold at the right price. Priorities for Ag HC, farmer needs. We're working on a survey to get that out to all of our farmers in the county, period. I'll work with Extension to get that out to everybody. But find out what the farmers want Ag HC to work on from a local farmer perspective. Engaging our current members, engaging the community, increasing membership, providing more support for local small farms that are here where we can make connections they might not have made on their own. The community being more involved and getting more involved in the education side of it and the agritourism side, connecting them with different markets, different opportunities. Challenges as a farmer. I'm a farmer myself. We don't have our survey results, but recovery from Helene is top on our list in this county. It's going to be for probably a couple of years, I would imagine. Markets and labor. Existing recovery programs fall short. Got some money turned loose now. I'm going in the morning. Actually, I've got an appointment at the extension agent office to do my disaster relief fund for my farm. It's good that it's finally coming around now, and hopefully there's more coming. That's what they at least told us the other day, Monday. The timing issue, it's here, it's coming, but it's still slow roll. I know my neighbor lost about 7 acres of an apple orchard, just clean ground now. It's trellis, modern, high density orchard. And he had to foot the bill up front, $80,000 to replace the trees. There's a program, but you've got to pay for it up front. You got to send in all your receipts and all this stuff. And that's a big check to write up front. And there's nothing right now to help with agritourism losses due to the hurricane. They explained it Monday. They can't help agritourism in this area without offending tourism in the eastern part of the state. So their hands are tied as far as helping agritourism, but the representatives are working on it. Where Ag HC has worked in this regard, we made a checklist for all farmers, made it available to everyone. It's still on our website. It's still viable. It's still, valid. There's some programs that have expired, but it's linked to everyone. You can go and you can look at that expiration date. All of our educational outreach programs, our Listen and Learns, have focused around recovery, helping farmers connect with Harrison County Soil and Water, FSA, making those connections, making sure they know who to call, and what programs are available that people may not even have known about. A lot of the programs through FSA and Soil and Water were there before Helene. They're not new. And then farmland preservation, supporting the effort, the county grant. We signed off on the letter for that. And then just constantly trying to build up the ag economy instead of housing developments. The markets, we don't have a major processor of anything in this area. since Gerber left Asheville, that was basically the last one. Seneca is using, they're sold now to Clement Pappas, and they're making everything out of concentrate. So working with the food system, the state food system, to try to build up a relationship with a processor to attract them to this area. All the hospitals, all the schools, they all serve applesauce. That's just my first thought. I grow apples, but everybody loves applesauce. Why are they eating applesauce that's made from apples from Washington or Oregon when there's a company that buys apples here and makes a really good product? So I'm working to try to get a relationship built with the state level. Hopefully, maybe 3 or 4 years from now, they'll need to build a processor here to keep up with our demand. Tariffs, everybody's talking about tariffs this week. I'm not super excited about the tariffs, but we'll see where they go. It's 20 years too late, in my opinion, when you look at specifically the apple juice market and the concentrate that was coming out of China 20 years ago. That's what started the downfall of the apple industry, at least in this area, or the downward trend. But in 2018, the tariffs against India on metal, India retaliated directly against fresh apple from Washington State. And when that happened, the market got flooded with apples. That was a third of their state's crop. Almost 1 million bushels of apples flooded the market. Prices tanked. Storage even got full. 2 or 3 years later, it's still having an impact on processor storage. Those fresh apples, those really pretty apples, sitting in the cooler for 2 years. Now they're good for nothing but juice. And 3 years ago, it's still having an impact now. Farm to school program struggles right now. The Department of Defense stepped out, and there's no longer a subsidy there, so it's strictly lowest bid. And what small farm is going to be your lowest bid option when it comes to fresh food in the school system? So it's a program that needs to be reevaluated and worked on, and I think some of these efforts by this current administration may end up circling back and fixing some of these inefficiencies. Labor, when it comes to labor, 40% increase in the labor cost for H2A over the last 10 years is astronomical. That does not include housing costs, the legal costs of hiring a recruiter, hiring a agent in Mexico or wherever to bring them over. So that's something that's got national attention. The AgHC is working on. There are numerous federal lawsuits surrounding that, and we're keeping a close eye on it and advocating for all our farmers. H2A is a very, very good program at its heart. It's just it's a broken system. It's a broken process. But hopefully reform is on the horizon there. Educational efforts, I mentioned that before, but looking at things such as regenerative ag, that's the big key word now, not sustainability anymore. That's old news. It's regenerative ag. It's mowing less. It's allowing the soil to heal itself. Healthier soils fight bacteria and problems better than a sick soil. And our outreach programs will incorporate these ideas and these new topics for farmers to learn from. And as we look at Mills River specifically, the impact the AgHC has had, over 21 million in taxable capital investments, 280 new jobs created, 2.5 million in utility improvements, and then preserving ag land, and annual tax revenue, 36,000. Utility improvements, a lot of this was my predecessor, Mark Williams. Give him a shout out. He did a fantastic job running this organization before me. Just some highlights, no cost to the town, different utilities and services made available. Some more projects that are going on right now. Trihistal, they're looking to potentially expand right now. Norse Farms, they've got over 30 people working there. They're looking at expanding within their current footprint. And they're also looking at growing fruit in this year, strawberries specifically. Ohalo, they're going through a current expansion right now, $5 million expansion with 34 new jobs, and they're retrofitting an existing building. So they're looking for state funding and support for that as well. It's a very high-tech breeding operation and looks pretty exciting from an ag perspective, what it could do. 25 historical is pretty much a static request for Ag HC this year. I'm just kind of continuing as status quo from
Mark to myself. Uh, Looking at the specifics, no increase from Mills River there. And only increase from Henderson County is just a paperwork documentation of rent that got added in there last year. That said, I'll leave my contact info up there. Mr. McKirahan's got a copy of our letter and this presentation as well. I'm happy to answer any questions or go back. I was trying to, in the interest of time, not get too long-winded, so.
Any questions? So Brent, how many packing houses do we have in the county that road croppers could take their product to? Have we got anything left much?
You've got Kirby and you've got Lippman Farms out in the Dana area, Upward area.
Okay.
Those are the only two major ones I know of right now. As far as fruit packing, you've got quite a few. We lost Apple Wedge. They're rebuilding, tearing the concrete out now. I drove by it twice a day. But there's a handful of them as far as fruit goes. One thing that I find neat is the puree side. You can puree anything. You can puree. You look at a company like Bell, Go Squeeze. They're pureeing sweet potatoes, squash, broccoli, apples, everything. It's not baby food. It's snack food. We put them in our kids' lunchbox. So.
Do you think the committee or y'all's group would look at possibly Sunday, or do you think there's a need for almost like a co-op type packing house? I'll be honest, I mean, people, I grew up doing it.
Yeah.
But we really don't have nowhere to take it that it can get pushed on out.
I think there's an opportunity for that for sure, but I think it has to be processing. It can't be fresh. I think with fresh, you end up with Edneyville had a pretty successful apple co-op back in the day. My grandfather was one of the original investors of it. But it didn't last because it was fresh fruit. So it was, you're my friend, you're going to run mine first, right? Because timing is very important with any kind of produce. Quicker you get it from the field to the customer, the more valuable your product is.
Right.
The higher quality you're going to get, the more out of it you're going to get a higher margin on it. So if it's processed, and if you're making puree or you're juicing it or you're making some kind of cider or something out of it, timing, quality is not such a factor, and you've got, you not making somebody mad because you ran these apples first or these tomatoes first or these peppers first. But if there was some type of processing aspect, I think absolutely you could get vegetables, fruit, everything into a co-op at that point. A lot of the equipment is shared.
Good.
Now, whether or not it can happen, it's a different story. That's my goal.
Okay. Well, I like to hear that. Anything else?
How many commercial kitchens are there in Henderson County?
Commercial kitchens.
I know there's one right now they're working on for smaller farmers. Obviously, a bigger farmer wouldn't be able to take semi-loads in there and process it. But they've got one right now that they're working on out near Laura Park. And I was wondering, is there any other around here? I know there used to be one where people would take their crops and make jams and jellies and apple butters and stuff like that.
There had been one a while back that I think it didn't last. This is the only one. That's why we're kind of driving this one now, is to get it reestablished. I think that there may be one in Buncombe County or Haywood County that does allow people outside those areas to come use it. Haywood County, I think. But the one we're building, or the one they're talking about working on now, is more or less temporary. The goal long term would be for the commercial kitchen available to public like that to be part of the ag services building. That's at least been involved in our initial architectural discussions on that.
Okay.
But this kitchen that they're talking about building now is that would be Henderson County's only publicly available commercial kitchen to come in and do those kind of things.
Okay.
Anything else?
I'll quickly publicly say thank you. I'm a member of AgHC. I actually called Brent earlier this week for some questions about.
I don't think I helped you much, but you got sidetracked.
But no, thank you. I do. I think you guys do a lot in the county and in the town.
Appreciate it. Thank you guys for your time.
I want to say thanks for coming. you had on a slide where it's not, the costs to process is 9% more
The market value of
market value.
the production cost. It's an average, it's the ag census, but the average market value of the product, the production costs were 9% higher than your market value. So I come from manufacturing, you know, I spent 12 years at Elkmet. When I left, I was a plant manager, key operating metrics, you know, keeping an eye on those indicators, finding those indicators. That was a pretty intriguing one to me. It's not specific to any one crop. It's an average for all the crops grown and reported. So
So you do it because you love it.
I do it because I love it. I like to be able to spend time with my kids when I want to, and you know, watch things grow from a flower that got little brown edges on it now because of the frost the other day. But you know, it's still going to set fruit, and we'll see what happens with it. I'll spend a bunch of money to knock half of them off here in a month or two. But
I know with my bride and I, when I was stationed in North Dakota, one of the local farmers won the lottery. They asked him, "What are you going to do with your money?" He said, "Well, I can afford to farm a few more years."
I'm farming style now, maybe.
Thanks for what you do.
Thank you. Thank y'all for your time.
All right, Mr. Wilson, you're up next for the NCDOT.
Was Jeff gonna speak during the ag part?
He wants to speak during the floodplain.
Oh,
Good evening. I'm Troy Wilson. I'm a district engineer at the NCDOT. I'm going to bring you up to speed, give you some highlights here on Helene, give you some information on some local projects here, and drop you some other good little nuggets you guys can use moving forward. All right, I'm gonna run through these pretty quick, but here's by the numbers here. 4 divisions that were hurt pretty bad. We got over 9,500 sites. Do keep in mind that these sites are there in excess of $5,000. A site that's less than $5,000 wouldn't be recorded in this. So those are pretty big, and do know that many of these sites are in excess of $10 million. So pretty big monumental task above us. Current estimated cost is about $5 billion. Again, depending on tariffs and different things, that may continue to climb. You never know. Again, sites complete. Those numbers have increased here, so I apologize. They're not all 100% up to date, but one thing that's been really pretty cool about this is federal reimbursement. We've already gotten 130 million already. Typically, we don't see that for 7, 8, 10, 12 years. So Federal Highways and FEMA has been doing a great job getting us some of that money so we can keep doing that. $5 billion is a lot of money, and state doesn't have it. So something's going to have to give, right? We're going to have to get it, or it's kind of hard to write blank checks. So just know that that could be an issue moving forward. Hopefully it won't be. Hopefully we'll get everything we need to keep paying these contractors and everybody that's in here to get this work done. Again, just some bridges damaged, 837, 53 in Henderson County, repaired, replaced about 34%. I didn't get a chance to get all the pipes on here. Just know that there's a lot of pipes, I think over 850 of the major pipes, but that if you look at back cave 64, 74, doesn't count all the cross pipes and all the driveway pipes, right? There's hundreds of those. We don't have numbers on those. Here's a kind of major corridor project updates, US 74. It's currently under construction there. Just kind of some information. I'll run through this pretty quick. You guys have all this spreadsheet. You'll have this PowerPoint sequence. I apologize. I didn't get these printed off for you ahead of time. Just a little bit busy and got caught up on some other issues. US 64 bid build construction. It's been awarded. They're out there working on that, making good progress. NC 9 is yet to be let. Again, kind of some rough ideas what these costs are going to be, what our estimates are. And I'll just tell you right now that our estimates are not what they're bidding, right? So again, we need to stretch our dollars because these prices are coming in significantly higher. US 176 is going to be pretty significant. We have like 10 major slide sites out there. Again, I think this estimate's a little light there. That'll be closed for probably quite some time. I hope to have that contract out by the end of the year, first of next year. Again, some of our major projects here and project let dates and completion dates. I just want to run you through some before and after so you kind of know what we're dealing with. Again, these aren't all local here, but just so you can see the catastrophic damage and what it's going to take to rebuild this, right? Because there's, to rebuild this, you got to bring in material. Where's that material going to come from? Sometimes miles, sometimes different states, right? We haul material in from Tennessee and South Carolina, rocks and dirt. So it's a big haul.
Again, here's a before and after, right? So catastrophic, lots of work. In some of these places, there's nowhere to grab this dirt and stuff to come back and make these repairs. Again, you can just see catastrophic damage, these bridges and stuff that you don't build those overnight. No, you don't design them overnight. Well, it's been 6 months. How come you don't have a design? Well, if DOT was doing this on a regular time frame, it's 2 to 3 years. And we've got hundreds of these we're trying to crank out. So as you can see, it's immense. And some of these things, okay, what was there, what we had before, you can't put that back. It's got to be a completely different design. So in some of these, you've got to think out the box and you don't have a lot of options. There's only one or two, right? Because if you're on bedrock, what is your options? There's no dirt there to put piles in, so you have no friction. So that's out. So again, we've thought outside the box. Some of these things just are what they are. And they take time to design, get a set of plans together and get them out and get them repaired. Just a few pictures here from I-40. Of course, you guys all know that. Who would have thought that I-26 would have been 8 foot deep there down there by the golf course up there at Asheville? I didn't. I will tell you this, the electric trucks will drive right through them even when the water's coming over the hood. Wouldn't suggest it. It was an adventure. Probably shouldn't have done it. But again, it's like, am I going to get electrocuted? I don't know. But we did what we had to do. Again, as you can see the damage, it's eye-opening. It's hard to actually imagine. You see pictures, you've seen video, but if you've not actually been out there and stood there on the yellow line, it goes down 80 foot. Pictures do not do it justice. I'll show you this one. You can see the damage, but not only us, our partners, right? Got a railroad here. So can we just run out there and fix that? We can't. We got to work with the railroad because their infrastructure may have to be repaired before we can repair ours. So we're working with our partners, many partners on these things. Again, just some more before and afters. You know, we got to fix theirs and fix ours at the same time. So this is a dance, you know, that we have to do. Here's just some sample repairs of what we've done here locally in Henderson County. And again, you'll see some of this stuff. Do know that some of these are temporary. They are not final. We've come in there to get this shored up, to get access. We got some pavement on it and you think we're done. Well, we're not. We don't have proper asphalt. These are to tie it up to get us through the winter. So we're not out there trying to maintain these. Know that some of these we may be back doing additional work on. You think, oh, well, it looks good. It's done. Well, it's not. So these are temporary. Some of these are temporary repairs. They are not final. And that will be forthcoming hopefully in the near future. Again, just some photos of some things we've done. As you see here, this patch was temporary to get us through the winter. We'll have to come back and mill that out and properly patch it. But again, it saved us time and money for winter operations for snow and ice. And again, these operations are reimbursable. Again, you guys have kind of seen these, familiar with them. Again, temporary repairs on some of these, and they're not complete, right? We still need guardrail. We still need to do pavement. We still got to do different things like that. Again, just some examples of local repairs here. And some of these are temporary until we can actually fix the structure, but they were good enough where we could get the roads open back up, but by no means are final. Again, we have these little thing called landslides that we're having to deal with. As you can see, some of these can be very significant. Well, the repairs can be significant and time consuming. You're just not going to run there, dump some rock in there and put your road back in there. These require engineered design drawings, soil testing, a lot of stuff. So, you know, it's been 6 months. How come you don't have all the roads fixed? Well, we'll be feeling pretty good in 2028. At least I will be. Debris has been an issue we're dealing with. We have great partners. Henderson County is removing all the debris. NCDOT is not removing any debris. So we are working with them. They've contracted all that. They're roughly 75% complete on the right of ways, which is great for us. We can get in and make our repairs, and they have worked great with us. They have done a great job, but it has been a monumental task that nobody really realized how much there was. And I think you guys have seen that around here. Obviously, you got all these crews. You can see the bottom right picture. I mean, we have that everywhere. Now that's getting much better, especially on the roadways, but they're just getting ready to start the waterways, as you guys are here, and private property. So you're going to see a lot of debris trucks for many, many months. Is this a utility issue or a debris issue? Well, the answer is yes. Going out and looking at some of these things, you think, there's no way any of that stuff's active. Well, you'd be wrong.
We go in there, we grab a hole, tear it out, and so just lost their telephone line that we didn't know was still active. But so we have partners to deal with, right? We have all the utility companies. You have all that stuff to work. So we just can't go in and build a road. We have to work with these guys, get their stuff in, sewer, water, gas, power. And a lot of stuff we did is temporary. So it looks good, but guess what? We got to tear all that and put it where it's supposed to be. So, I mean, these are long-term repairs. These are, the lot of stuff you see are short-term temporary repairs. Well, it looks good. It looks like we're supposed to be. It's not. So just know that these long-term final repairs are yet to come. And as you can see on that bottom picture there, where's areas like that, there's utilities everywhere. So it takes time to properly make these repairs. Just some kind of shout out some of our partners. The DOT engaged over 330 contractors, currently 61 engineering firms, over 2,000 NCDOT employees from across the state have come up here to help. Come up here and lived in. They come up here and stayed in hotels with no water, right? No showers, no clothes. You know, a lot of the guys in my group, I live in Transylvania County. I was one of the fortunate ones. There's like 25 homes in areas that we didn't lose power. I had water. I mean, I was 25, 30 guys was coming to the house. We were doing their laundry, cooking hot meals. You know, after 3 days, everybody lost their freezers, right? Yeah. So, again, I had to get my septic tank pumped. So, you know, after that, I had hot water. I had on demand. I had water, right? I had guys after 5 days come in, tree come through their house. He comes in shorts and a t-shirt. I said, what you doing? He goes, I don't have any clean clothes. I said, what do you mean I don't have any clean clothes? Well, you know, the tree come through, ruined everything. There's no water, no power. I don't have a washing machine. I went to Walmart. They're not open. I can't even buy clothes. Go home, get your clothes, taking my wife. 10:30 at night, he comes, knocks on my door. He goes, Mrs. Wilson, your husband told me you'd wash my clothes, right? One of our young engineers. Look, that's what we did. We're community, right? We came together. And so anyway, also Florida DOT, they came up, they started putting in temporary bridges to get these roads, get people access. And what happened? Florida had a hurricane. They had to go home, help their own people. Kentucky DOT, their crew's phenomenal. These guys, man, they just come in and knocked all kinds of stuff out. Shout out to U.S. Army and National Guard as well, plus all our local municipalities and counties too. The things that you guys have done in supporting the DOT and working together with us has been just phenomenal. One thing I want to bring up to you guys that you may or may not be aware of is our Go NC portal. When these projects we're getting ready to talk about at the end of this portal's here. It's public information. There's all kind of information here for you guys as you guys are looking at issues in your area. One of these issues, if you want to know what's going to get paved, here's our paving plan for the next 5 years. They're color coded. So if you want to know if a road in your community is going to be paved, you can pull this up. You can look at it. Do know this will fluctuate a road or two just based on funding, asphalt prices and stuff like that by year to year. But this is on there. You can go in there and see what's going to be paved in your area. Also, we track all serious fatal injuries, pedestrian, bicycles, all these crashes. Do know that these are there. You can look and see where the problem areas are in your region and in this area and know that we're tracking this. We're looking at this. We're looking for trends. We're looking for, hey, why are we having 5 pedestrian accidents in this area? What can the department do to address that? So know that we're tracking these. These are for you to look to if you're getting phone calls about all this stuff about, hey, we're having accidents or pedestrian issues. Pull up this map. And maybe you are, and maybe they're not on this map. And if you have an issue, please contact us. Let us investigate it. Again, here, this is the section safety scores of the roads in the area. You can pull this up so you can see how safe a certain section of roadway is. And this is what, we use these as we plan upcoming projects. One quick note, less than the black ones is not bad. It just means that all the accident reports, we pull these from either Sheriff's Department, High Patrol. They put a milepost on that GPS. We can't always accurately track it based on the information on that report. So we know that there's an accident in that section of road, but we can't nail it down. So we can't really tell you how safe or unsafe that section is without doing additional footwork on that. Again, safety projects. So hey, man, we got an intersection out here. DOT should do something. Well, maybe we are. Maybe it's already planned. Maybe it's there. We're working on it. So this is there. You can pull this up. You can see all the safety projects we got in the area based on phone calls from you guys. Hey, this intersection is bad. Hey, we need a sidewalk. Hey, we need a RRFB. We got a pedestrian function. Call us. These are the ones that, you guys reach out to us on, or, when these guys are letting you know there's a problem, you're letting us know, just know that this is on here. You can look at ones that are coming. Just know that any of these maps, if you click on the lines or the balls, it'll bring up the information, what it is, what we're doing, when it's expected to be completed, stuff like that. So know that information's out there. It's open to you guys. Anybody here can access that and look at it. All right, what you all are here for is update on the projects. All right, I'll hit these ones in Henderson County, and then the ones that are a little closer to home here, we'll expand on. North Highland Lake, as you guys know, we had significant damage from Helene causing a redesign. So hopefully we'll have that redesign. They said midsummer, but they're telling us maybe next month we'll have that so we can get that project completed. I-26 Green River Bridge, that's currently tracking behind schedule. Again, most of our projects have seen impacts from Helene, and we've actually pulled contractors off of most all of these to help with Helene recovery. So that being said, all our contracts state in this region, we give contractors additional time to complete these. So some of these dates may not be completely updated with the additional time. Do know we're going to have contract resurfacing on King Street, or excuse me, Church Street start, well, supposed to already start, but anyway, they said they're going to start this year. So that may be forthcoming. It won't necessarily, they should have started, but again, they're a little bit behind schedule. Acoustic Trail, of course, you guys probably understand that that was significantly damaged. Most of the storm repairs are done. So hopefully they'll be getting that completed soon enough, and we'll get some more tourism in the area. Blythe Street to White Pine, that project has got pushed back a year, of course, and again, we're still working on that. I-26 drainage repairs, if you guys head down to Polk or down that way, they've been up there for a long time. As you can imagine, all the water from Helene, man, it really did a number on stuff down below. So again, we've got significant damage to get fixed there. Henderson County projects in development, Clear Creek Greenway, Berkeley Mills to Park to Lakewood Road there. Again, that's a Greenway project. It is currently on schedule. Acoustic Trail, and I'm sure this is no surprise. Some of you guys have heard that the funding is in jeopardy on that second section from the Henderson County and the Transylvania County section. So hopefully that will not be an issue and we can move on with that trail. Again, ones that the two bridge replacements there in on US 64 in Etowah over the French Broad River. I suspect there'll be a little bit of impact from that once those are let as well. The next one there, DOT forces were working on the bridge on South Mills Gap when Helene hit and did so much damage. Now it has to be completely replaced. So that'll be the last one down there as well too. It's currently in design. We hope to let that to contract in July 2025. But that was really frustrating. You're getting close to getting it fixed, get it reopened, and then Helene happens and we start all over again. Let's see, Blythe Street sidewalk is on hold. South Grove Street sidewalk should be getting started in a couple of years. The exit 49 interchange, I-26 and US 64 there, if you're headed towards Sam's and Chick-fil-A there in Hendersonville, that has been pushed back as well. That's going to be a pretty significant size structure there. And the one you all want to know about is R2588B, NC 191, right out here, the widening of that. Yes, construction got pushed back, the construction phasing time. However, we are still moving forward with utilities and everything else. So it'll be a little easier on us for you too. So obviously you've seen the tree clearing. You will see some, probably in the next week or two, you'll see some preliminary grading for utilities to be moved, AT&T, the gas lines, obviously Duke Power. You will continue to see tree cutting around the region. So it's kind of an update on that. So even though the main construction got pushed back, the current STIP shows fiscal year 2029, but do understand that that is can be calendar year 2028. STIP timing, all the projects we're currently working through that. We expect that to be complete probably late summer when the board approves it. So we should have better schedules based on funding. You've 5886 and U6049 is the King and Main Street intersection down there from White Street and Willow, that whole realignment. Again, we're still working on that. Got pushed back 1 year. And again, South Mills Gap. Do note that with Helene and the $5 billion price tag, should that for some reason not be reimbursed, obviously I would suspect these dates could change a little bit. We still got to write checks to pay for all this stuff. And do know that, these dates and project schedules can change at any time based on funding availability. All right, here's just a few of the roads. Just kind of a list of the roads that we're expecting to put out to contract that DOT forces will not be fixing. Many of these here are in excess of $10 million repairs. And our local crews just don't have the equipment or know-how. We don't have the rock drills. We don't have the other drills. We don't have the soil nail equipment to do that stuff. They build these big retaining walls. So all these will be contracted out. If it has a let C, that means the project's already been let. That's the construction date. If it has another date on it, that is our anticipated let to contract date. Again, we have several primary structures that were also damaged, and our primary structures are there listed at the bottom. And then here's all our structures that were damaged and will be replaced by contract or repaired by contract. And again, the same thing holds if it's got a C number on it. That means it's already let to contract. The other ones are expected lets. We're still working on a lot of the other ones, a lot of design builds. So we don't really have contract times yet until we'll know what the actual repair or the new structure is going to be. So once we kind of get that figured out, then we'll have a better schedule. Other interesting projects around the county. Resurfacing. So as the department does things, we let resurfacing 2 years at a time. So we have the previous contractors coming back in that hadn't finished and the new ones. So you'll have multiple contractors doing resurfacing in the area. And DOT is going to be redoing resurfacing. DOT is going to be trying to do about 20, 25 miles of resurfacing as well with our in-house crews this summer as well, along with everything else. So every contractor we got working on all these projects, they're also going to be doing resurfacing and doing all these repairs. Tree clearing, you've seen some of that. We've got contracts to clear trees on all these projects. So you're going to be seeing these guys all over the place. Again, that's a different bridge. Brickyard Road, it's almost complete. The beams are set. So hopefully we'll have that back open soon enough. Also, we have primary resurfacing and secondary resurfacing. So again, like I said, you're going to see contractors all over the place. We also have contracts for guardrail repair and pavement repair with these repairs. So a lot of these small repairs our maintenance forces are seeing, we're going to have these contractors out there doing these patches. So if you don't like the work zones you see now, you're going to have 100,000 more in the next year. It is construction season. It's coming. We've called everybody we can get our hands on, every contractor. We've brought them in here to try to get this lean recovery quick, right? So it's going to be inconvenient, in my opinion. It's already been inconvenient. People are a little stressed out already about just the debris crews. Guess what? They're going to be here another year. And then we're going to bring all this other stuff in. We're going to have resurfacing. We're going to have debris crews. We're going to have these major contractors doing DOT work. And then you've got municipalities and the cities and towns. Laurel Park's got $17 million worth of project their contractors are going to be working on. Then you've got roofing contractors and you folks that have private roads and damage to your home. So, if you think it's busy and crazy now, give it another month or two when all our contracts are wide open, right? And it's construction season. So it's going to be, in my opinion, a little inconvenient. You're going to see a lot of lane closures and road closures and flagging operations. So plan extra time wherever you're going, or go 3 o'clock in the morning. That works too. Again, we got a big curb ramp project. So also, you'll be seeing curb ramps being replaced around the county. Again, this is just kind of a scratch of what all's going on. Do keep in mind construction traffic, backups, delays, inconvenient traffic around the region. You're going to see that. Construction season starting. Just be prepared. If you got issues, give us a call. We'll do the best we can to police it and keep it moving forward and keeping these folks doing what they're supposed to be doing. But just do know, let you guys know that we've called the cavalry and they've come, right? So we're going to be a little inconvenienced, but we're going to try to get back to normal as quick as we can. Do know that, these dates for letting these projects, look, we've got every engineering firm, multiple states all over. These guys are busting it. They're working 7 days a week, long hours. Just know as soon as we can get this stuff, we're gonna let it. We're not waiting around. If they can get it ahead of schedule, as soon as they get it to us, we're sticking it out the door. That brings up another issue. I've tried to let one project 3 times. Slides every time. Well, let's add another $1 million to it. I mean, at some point in time, we still have to follow all the federal highways and FEMA rules, state laws and federal laws in letting these projects. Just because I got a $10 million project and they bid $20 million don't mean I can let it. So I've got projects that I've tried to let 3 times that I can't, how am I going to fix it? I can't get somebody to come fix it. That's a problem for us. So we're doing what we can. We're trying to break it apart, take stuff out. We're talking to these contractors, asking why these bids are so high. Hey, what can the department do? How can we break it up? So no, we're doing everything. We've done some crazy stuff with contracts never seen in the state before. We've been very heavily involved with federal highways and FEMA. Say, hey, this is what we're thinking. What do you guys think? You ought to see their eyes. They get this big. But just know that we're doing everything we can on our end. If you guys got questions, reach out to me, shoot me an email, give me a phone call. You need updates on something, you got other issues, please let us know. Again, you got an area that you got a safety project. We understand that. Hey, pick up the phone, give me a call, shoot me out. We'll investigate it, whatever we can as these things come across. And that's it for me.
Any questions for Troy?
I do.
Go ahead.
Your district engineer,
No
your
comment.
salary. How many weeks since Helene have you worked a 40-hour week?
0.
How many weeks before Helene have you, I know you. Yeah. My heart goes out to DOT. They're out there working. And,
I've not worked a 40-hour week since I took this job 2 years ago. I've only worked 2 weeks less than 80 hours since Helene hit. We work Thanksgiving, we work Christmas. We're probably gonna work Good Friday. Not just me, it's all the crews. And it's not just DOT, right? You guys are out there working too, right? Everybody, all our partners, our contractors. It's what we do. We're a community. It's what we do. We come together, we get stuff done. So
we're mighty
please
proud of
continue
our
to be
DOT.
patient with us.
We're mighty proud of our DOT for y'all. They are a wonderful resource. They're always willing to help us as a town. They're there for us. And they just don't get the thanks they deserve. So publicly, I'd like to say thanks, you and Rusty. Thanks for what you do.
We appreciate that. We're glad to serve. That's why we live here. This
play
is our family. These are our neighbors.
You
This
ever
is our
played in the
community.
snow with your kids when they were growing up?
No, sir, I did not.
Had to work.
That's right.
All right.
Anything else? Go ahead, Pat.
Just a quick question. I know funding was a big concern and topic of your conversation. If a municipality, for example, comes to you and we offer to form some sort of partnership with you on a project, would that get us faster access?
Potentially, yes.
Okay.
Anybody wants to come build your road, I will let you build your road. It's got to be to our specifications. I'll send an inspector out there. Because that's what DOT does. Yes, absolutely. Yeah, if it's cheaper for us, absolutely. Anywhere we can stretch a dollar, we're always looking for partnerships.
Anything else? Thank you, sir.
Thank you.
Go, you're free to leave. You ready?
Rest.
Yeah, Rusty too. Need to get somebody to put us in a public hearing on this moratorium for this non-residential development in floodplain.
I'll make a motion to enter into legislative hearing for the moratorium on non-residential development in special flood hazard areas within the town of Mills River.
Thank you, Brian. I need a second.
I'll second it.
Thank you, Jeff. All in favor? Aye. Any opposed? Hearing none. We are now in public hearing.
Mr. Mayor, there's a couple other items on the sheet in front of you as we enter in.
Oh, bad. We're in there. Okay. Anybody on here got a conflict of interest on any floodplain land? This might relate to family, close family members. Got anything much?
I mean, I have family who has land in the floodplain, would be affected, but
Okay.
I have no personal financial gain.
If for some crazy reason you think as we get into this, you do, would you please speak up? And if not, if everybody, the rest of the council's all right with it, I'm all right with it. You do, okay. You think you could, by changing any of this or putting a moratorium on, it, you can make any money from it or lose any money or whatever? Okay. Anybody got an issue with either one of those?
No issue. I believe a very small portion of my property is down in the Boils Creek floodplain, but it's about the size of this room and
Okay.
not developable.
Okay. Gotcha.
I own no land in the floodplain.
And me either. Okay, all right. I think we're all right with this. I see no reason. Staff, do say it like that. Staff okay with us moving forward? Okay. We'll ask you to present.
Yeah, thank you, Mayor and Council. So before you, and I'm going to keep looking over my shoulders to make sure rain's not coming in. We may have to jump up here. But before you is a draft moratorium that, as a reminder, Council requested staff to develop at a March meeting around specifically a moratorium around the special flood hazard area. So the special flood area, again, as a reminder, is that 1% chance of an event, a flooding event happening equal to or exceeding that within that given year, right? So it's another way to say it is that's the 100-year floodplain. A lot of times when people hear the 100-year floodplain, they think, hey, once out of every 100 years. Really, it's just 1% chance every year. And so the before you is that draft moratorium. Now, a couple of items that I just want to bring to your attention. Per the requirement, we're looking at a moratorium that's over 60 days. So there are certain requirements that we had to meet about public notice, et cetera. Staff has met those requirements. So this public notice was put forth in the March 26th and the April 2nd editions of the Hendersonville Lightning for review and for people to come out and speak on behalf of it at tonight's public hearing. This is one of those other requirements, is actually having this public hearing and hearing from the public. A couple of other elements around this. This is specifically, it's not a floodplain moratorium. It's a land use moratorium that's focused on a specific portion of the floodplain. And again, that's a little bit of a nuance there, but that's because, again, council has directed us that we do not, that in review of the land use, there's not an interest currently in following the NFIP minimum standards that are set within the floodplain. So some element that's less than that is going to be focused more on the land use side and not specifically on a floodplain ordinance. And so that's why before you, it actually discusses it being a, and I just want to make sure I get the language right here. The limit to use of the areas to prevent unnecessary risks, looking at establishing a land use management strategy or strategies in those areas. And so that's why the wording is what it is before you. A couple of other elements for you. This is focused specifically on the permitting that the town has. So it's on our current permits as well. So zoning permits, watershed permits, special use permits, et cetera. And so it is not designed around about fill, for instance, within certain areas outside of the watershed, because in that example, we do not have permits around fill outside of the watershed in certain watershed and water supply, watershed areas. So that's where, again, a little bit of the nuance that you're going to see within the draft moratorium. And all right. Well, pretty sure we're no longer streaming live, but for those that are in the room, one of those other elements, and let me just make sure we're not in a warning, is that the questions around agriculture and agricultural use. And so as a reminder, agricultural uses are exempt from town zoning and not required to obtain any type of permits. And so they're not subject to this moratorium as well. Before you, it states that it's for 180 days. That is up to 180 days. If at the end of the time, council believes that we have done our due diligence to look at alternatives and strategies and put that forward, that can end earlier. by this council. Or it may be, yes, or it may be extended. All right, so again, based off of the requirements that the law sets out, that we can go into details if you'd like. So that's a high-level overview of what is before you today. The draft moratorium does state that if you all do deem it have a position to want to vote on it, it is effective immediately, again, unless you would like to change that language. And any, this is your document, so if you have any questions or would like any amendments, you may do so.
So has our town attorney Sharon Alexander seen this and blessed this?
Yeah, so she has seen it, she has reviewed it, and so what before you is a reviewed copy based on her recommendations.
Okay. All right, questions for staff? No? James?
Sorry, the green.
Oh, okay.
And if I may, I'll just let you know the noise that you hear behind you is the generator. So the generator in the back corner.
He's trying to get his started. Do we need a 5-minute break?
Please.
Let's take a 5-minute break, see if we can save some plants over at the greenhouse.
Okay.
It's okay. Need to use the bathroom. So we need to take a vote to go back into this, public hearing. I need a second
I'll second.
from the break. All in favor? Aye. Any opposed? Hearing none.
Mayor Gantz, one point of clarification I would like to make is that, because you asked about whether or not our attorney has blessed this. So this was sent to our attorney. The attorney has reviewed it. She provided recommendations and edits. Those edits and recommendations are before you. However, I do understand, again, there has been a request for Ms. Alexander to come to the next meeting as well. So it's up, again, this is council's decision. If council so chooses that they would like to have Ms. Alexander here for that discussion, that is something that it can be moved forward with at that point. So it's up to council's discretion.
My biggest, fear with these, is to make sure legally we're okay. And if she's looked at it and overseen it and give back the recommendations
edit.
and all those got appointed in there, then I'm good with it.
Wait, yes. So, and like I said, for that clarification, she provided those recommendations back and points of clarification. We have addressed those. We believe that, that everything that is stated, as well as the edits that she provided, are before you. However, like I said, that's at that level. So if
Okay.
you wanted that further clarification, we could bring her in.
Gotcha. Did anybody, as you went through this, anything, red flags pop up to you or anything out of the ordinary that you wasn't expecting to see, I should say, or wanted to see more of, or so we could ask for reason why it ain't in there, or if we could do something different? If not, then, anybody got any more questions for staff? I think that's where we was at. Nobody said they had any. Okay. All right. Any, property owners, anybody here? Jeff, I'm sure you want to speak, pertaining to this, that want to present anything or just discuss the idea.
Good evening, Mayor Gantz, council members. My name's Jeff Young. I live at 426 North Mills River Road. I've come before you tonight to ask for a provision. If it's not in there, I'm a little disadvantaged because I've not seen the document that's before you. But the provision I'm seeking is that we, on a family farm, our workshop sits in the floodway, actually, as well as the floodplain. But it's elevated and it's above the base flood elevation. During Helene, wasn't inundated. Same for our spray facility behind Ingalls. And most importantly is the property where the farm store is, behind the food truck. You may have ever noticed there's about 3 acres behind the food truck. And during Helene, it wasn't inundated. And the provision I'm asking for is that if a landowner can come to the town with like an elevation certificate from a professional licensed surveyor, showing that the property that's in the floodplain or floodway in some cases is actually above the base flood elevation, or even if you have specifications 1-2 feet above, if they meet that they don't fall under this moratorium, this prohibition that you might impose on the town. You're going to have to adopt some sort of maps in conjunction with this moratorium if you move forward with it. I have access to the county GIS like the rest of the public has. They have 2007 maps up there. So some of my comments are based on those maps, if those are the ones you end up using. Okay. But nonetheless, I think it's important, especially in the wake of Helene and the recovery, and looks like leaders in Washington are trying to drive us to a recession. But if farming doesn't pan out, we might have to seek other non-ag options on any of this land. And if it's already not accessible by floodwaters, it's not active floodway, it's not active floodplain because it's elevated, then I just would like to see in your moratorium something like that, because there is a flood certificate process in a floodplain ordinance where a landowner can come to the municipality and document that this licensed surveyor says elevation is higher than base flood elevation, and therefore it's not subject to those restrictions. So that's my ask of this council tonight.
Okay. So basically, you're saying that if we take those maps that we all know are not exactly right, and you get a licensed surveyor to show where those are raised above what that map's showing, then they get waived from this moratorium, basically, right?
Correct.
Okay.
Yeah, that's basically, if we had a a floodplain ordinance in Mills River that met the requirements of FEMA, then yes, a flood elevation certificate is a common thing which people use to either verify that they've made improvements that meet the requirements or that their land's not subject to it because, like I said, of the changes or inaccuracies in the mapping.
I know Mr. Melichek ain't here, but you're understanding what he's saying? Okay.
And would you ask if that would be in a final floodplain ordinance rather than just a moratorium?
Well,
Or what?
Possibly, yes. But my ask tonight is, I'm just under the assumption that if this goes into effect in Mills River, and then I were to come to Mr. Malichek and say, well, we want to do additional storage for the Valley Ag behind that food truck. And he'd look on a map and say, well, shaded blue, I'm sorry, there's a moratorium. You can't do anything. We can't issue
But it's
permits
been filled
necessary.
for years.
But yes, it's been filled for over 20 years. And so my hope is that there's another avenue in which we say, well, if we hire a surveyor, he or she comes out, does this and sets the elevation of it. And I can come with a document saying, well, he can look on the map what the base flood elevation is and say, well, yes, you're clearly higher than that. And we can move forward and not, anything that's in existence prior to the enactment of a moratorium.
Yeah, that's what I was gonna say, then, well, there needs to be language in there that said that was done before this.
Yeah. Prior to this moratorium going in effect.
Right. I'm not trying to be a snaky contractor and try to do, but I'm just trying to protect what interests we have.
Yeah.
And like I said, we have no plans for any non-ag activities on any of these sites that I mentioned, but the future is uncertain more now than ever. And I just didn't want to get caught up in a moratorium where, like what we have there at Valley Ag, it's been there, it's there for a reason, and it may get swept up in this moratorium just because of the way the maps are colored, depending on what maps.
Well, even the
y'all adopt.
spray shed in the barn and all, I wouldn't have thought about that, honestly, where it's been raised for years. But if you look on the map, it goes right through there, blued in.
You're correct.
Yeah, so you with us on that? So this being a public hearing, if we try to address that here, is that too big of a change to go ahead and push this moratorium through, you think? I know we're allowed to do a little change, but not major change.
I would say generally speaking, just because of the ramifications that a moratorium has, any moratorium generally speaking has on a community or a location, if council so wishes to move forward with that type of amendment, that we take note of that and that we work towards trying to find the proper language for that, because I'm not in a position tonight to help address that specific language.
Yeah, that's what I was asking.
Yeah.
So what else we got? You think anything else? I mean, this is kind of after.
No, as the town manager pointed out earlier, I mean, ag's exempt from all this activity, and that's, near and dear and most important to us. However, we just have, especially the site at Valley Ag Farm and Garden where, we may want to do a non-ag related to agribusiness.
Gotcha.
And it should be, while this moratorium's in place, I just hate to see us get hamstrung because of.
Gotcha.
Because you can't come back and, well, I guess you could, but it'd be
be another wait.
Right. So I just want to bring that to your attention and make that ask of you to consider some sort of alternative if there is something in place already when this goes into effect.
Yeah. Okay. I think that's a good catch because it's already built up anyway beforehand.
Rock. And there's other properties like that
I'm
around
sure
too.
they will be. We hadn't thought about inside the blue area.
And opposite of that, like I have a boiler room that was measured, surveyed to be out of it. 4 feet of water later, it's gonna be in it at some point. So yeah, what map are we going off of?
I think, well, we'll get to that in a minute.
No, I mean,
I'm good.
Sure. What else? We got anything else? Thank you, Jeff.
If I may, just to council member Cantrell's point, it would be the most updated map that we have available for us that follows that most updated FEMA map that we have before us.
Okay.
That would be at the time of adoption or as the FEMA map may change.
One second. I want to make sure that I'm speaking to the language, so I don't want to speak out of turn here.
Most recent.
Most recent.
in our states to those maps.
Yes, though, and special flood hazard areas as determined by the most recent FEMA flood insurance rate maps or firms or any subsequent updates to those maps, which is under section 1 on the first page.
So as it updated,
Mhm.
our moratorium would just fall right into that new line.
Yeah, I would say, based off of the way the writing is right now, it is the most updated map. So again,
Okay.
right now, whatever the most updated map is, and I'm sorry, I don't want to say the date and be incorrect on it, but that's why that language is there, is to allow for that flexibility.
Okay.
And again, this is for up to 180 days, so it depends on when, if new updates happen within that time period as well.
Gotcha. So we're gonna be looking for staff to look for language for those properties that are above or potentially above, and how a surveyor could, you know, identify those if they come in and ask for permitting.
And just for clarification, so what I've heard is language around properties that are above the base flood elevation, either by fill or by what other element, to be able to use that property, not be a part of the moratorium because they built outside the base flood elevation or built at or above the base flood elevation.
That's existing.
That's existing.
We're not gonna let them build it up out of there.
That's what I'm.
It's gotta
Yes.
be pre-existing to the moratorium going in.
Yes.
But we can't, there's no ordinance to stop fill. That's what this whole thing was about.
Yeah.
And I know Mr. Young's come in here several times when we tried to do NFIP, and it was such a burden to get certifications to say that we were above floodplain.
Right.
But now we're arguing that it's okay. So we're kind of going back and forth here. If we're not going to just pass it, it's only 180 days. It's not like it's a year. So we've got exemption for agriculture. That was the one group that everybody wanted to protect on this council. We wanted to be against commercial. You wanted to be against fill. If we're going to say that it's okay for them to fill it, to be exempt from the moratorium, then what's the point of the moratorium?
But this moratorium, stops them from filling?
It doesn't.
That's what I'm saying. So this moratorium, you know.
If I may, I apologize. I just want to interrupt. Again, it's around the watershed, right? So, so specifically, and I just want to refer to my notes here as well. We don't have permitting around land disturbance, grading, or filling of land outside of the water supply watershed areas. So that in those specific areas, there's that potential that there could be fill within a floodplain during the moratorium, right? And those areas would be, you know, around McDowell Creek, those floodplains, the French Broad River floodplains, and the far southern point I have right here of Boylston Creek floodplains, right? So, but the main northern part of Boylston Creek and all of Mills River floodplains will be protected via the moratorium since they are in the watershed area, right? So what we're basically saying is that because we have power over the watershed permitting process, we have some authority to restrict that area, but there could potentially be fill outside of the watershed, but still within this the special flood hazard area. Does that make sense?
Well, the question, when we discussed this last time, when the attorney was here, since we don't have a permitting process for fill, we said we couldn't do, because the original idea was a moratorium on no fill. And we were told we couldn't do a moratorium on fill because we don't have a permitting process for fill.
No, you are correct. We have the watershed permit though, and the watershed permit requires a permit for any type of development, including grading and fill operations. And so it's truly the watershed permit that we have control over, which has elements within that would trickle down to things such as fill and development.
So then why can't we just do a moratorium on no fill in the watershed? Because then that would hit both commercial and residential, which is what the intent was.
I would have to go back and look at the state statute just to make sure that we have the proper authority to focus specifically on fill. It would have to be, but I'm not in a position to be able to answer that at this moment. It's a question that I'm happy to take back and look into it. Absolutely.
But you're saying if we pass this, they can't fill it because it's in the watershed.
They would not be able to get a watershed permit. So therefore.
To fill it.
Yeah.
So why can't we do a moratorium on the watershed permits for fill? It's the same thing. You see what I'm saying?
Specifically for watershed permits on fill. I'm so sorry. I want to make sure.
No,
Are
you're saying they can't, you're saying the reason why we can control fill is because it's in the watershed
Yes.
and we're regulating the watershed permits.
Yes.
So then why can't we say we're regulating no fill, period, in the watershed instead of limiting it to just commercial?
So moratoriums in general, generally speaking, state statute does not allow us to
Correct.
regulate for residential moratoriums on residential properties. So it's specifically focused on non-residential properties. So so even for this moment, if there was a conversation about residential properties, that would not be encompassed within this moratorium. It's specifically around non-residential, so commercial type properties. Again, ag is exempt. But does that hit to your point there around fill and commercial? I'm just, I apologize.
No.
I heard what you said to me, and I heard it repeated back to me in the same way. So I think I'm missing something.
No, I think it's a little, it's a legality, I guess, is the way I'm looking at it. But
And as I mentioned, if I'm not being clear or if I'm missing the point here, Councilmember Kimball, by all means, please try one more time. I want to make sure that I'm
I'm
try to
playing
answer your
devil's
question.
advocate
Okay.
because as soon as we modify this, every developer is going to do everything they can to get around this, as we already know. So why are we not making it the way it is, just leaving it as it is?
And if I may, just for clarification, what you're saying is that since there is no fill requirement, technically, then somebody could fill in and then say, hey, now we're above base flood.
Correct.
I understand what you're saying.
That's what I'm saying.
Okay.
He said the thing that James don't want to say because he don't want to be heard.
Well, that's, if we pass it tonight, then it's done, and they can't do it. So, I mean, that's what I'm saying. If we modify it to allow Phil to get above and then get a certification, then we just shot ourselves in the foot.
So because it's a moratorium, would we be able to, like, the spirit and intent of this, are we past this? But we all know that Mr. Young has had Behind Valley Ag since before this was a town. So is there a go to Mike and work around this without modifying it?
Because this is based solely on the floodplain maps, not the actual elevation of the land, with respect to the elevation of the base flood elevation.
So Councilmember Moore, yes. So I would say generally speaking, for properties that fall within the watershed, this would, for non-residential properties, this would basically put a moratorium on watershed permits and the allowances that a watershed permit provides for a person who is seeking that permit. And that would be across the board.
For across the board or just for commercial?
Oh, I'm sorry, for commercial.
Yes.
But I'm just saying, so to the point that there's nothing within the current moratorium language before you that states anything about elevation changes within that area. So we would be making decisions based off of the most recent firm or other types of updates according to those maps for our decisions on whether or not to permit watershed zoning permits, et cetera.
And so with that being said, it doesn't matter if they go in and fill, they're still not getting a permit because the map says. So that is sort of the protection against someone coming in and raising that land and then saying, I'm out of the floodplain. But we can't put as of this date, because it'd be hard to prove. Pretty much have to spend money today or before today to show that that land is out of the floodplain. Right? Because otherwise,
It's the maps as of when we
map
passed
says
this.
it's in the floodplain.
Right.
But we all know it's up above the floodplain. But for someone else who comes in and fills above the floodplain, how can we prove that they just did it? Unless, no.
That's why I
unless-
think that
mean,
exemption
we know
is a
full
very
well it's been
tricky.
done, but what you know and what you can legally prove, face that earlier discussions.
So what I said couldn't work, wouldn't work. As far as like,
No,
The-
it may be too sketchy.
okay.
The easiest fix here would be if we could put a no fill, but we can't with a no downs on it, correct? Or,
Well, that doesn't put anyone out of compliance because it's future fill. Because one of the things we can't do is create someone who's a non-conform. We can't create a non-conformity. But if we say no fill, we're not taking an existing property and making it non-conforming. We're saying you cannot make it non-conforming. Right? Does that make sense?
so confusing.
Sure.
Again, for just for consistency purposes here, again, this is for non-residential. And if there was somebody looking to grade or fill or any type of development for a non-residential use, if they were doing that within the watershed and the special flood hazard area, right, that would trigger the need for a watershed permit. So this would put a moratorium on that type of permit. However, there are areas within the town of Mills River that are in the 100-year floodplain, or again, special flood hazard area, that are not within the watershed. And so for that reason, there could potentially be fill within those areas because there's no permitting that's required because it doesn't fall within the watershed permit parameters. So I just want to make sure that there are some protections from fill for non-commercial use. I mean, sorry, for non-residential use, and be very careful, for non-residential use within the watershed specifically. But outside of that, there could still be operations and development. And
We're not allowed to add non-watershed yet floodplain areas into the permit process.
yeah, but we do not have a permitting arm for that, or
And that's something you can't do.
no. So, but again, that's from my perspective. Again, I am not an attorney. I'm very clear on that. That is my understanding. That is what we have as staff have discussed as to what the current restrictions are and allowances would be under this draft moratorium.
Yeah.
We can change the moratorium moving forward, right? At any time, we can change or release the moratorium moving forward. If we pass it tonight, 2 months from down the road, we can end the moratorium.
I just want to make sure I clarify one thing.
Football team. They're like on a football team. I think so. I think you can.
Okay.
I would say, yeah, so it depends on the changes, and that's why I wanted to pause, right? Depending on the changes, there may be some other requirements that trigger, again, another public hearing, another set of announcements and notices, et cetera. But to that point, yes, this is up to 180 days. We've triggered the requirements that say any moratorium over 60 days, right? So we have that we've met those thresholds. So again, that when we are done doing the work, all right, that the moratorium basically puts on to staff to start doing this work. If it's 120 days and you all feel that it's satisfactory, then the product has been created essentially. And so therefore the moratorium is no longer needed because there's been some action.
I think that's where I'm at tonight. I'd be in favor of passing it as it is tonight since our attorney's already looked at it. We can always consult with her later, and if we want to make changes, then we can and have a hearing to make those changes. But to your point, people are watching, developers are watching. If we, with rural residential, that got so publicized that everybody ran out and pulled permits. So now that they know this is on the table, if you don't act now, then if we wait another 2 weeks or whatever, everybody's going to run out and pull permits. Same thing's going to happen again.
Are you saying, and also, this is not the end.
Correct.
This is what's in place until we get floodplain ordinance in place.
Correct.
So the floodplain ordinance could address situations where the land has been elevated previously out of your floodplain.
Correct.
So that could be put in the final ordinance.
If we get the ability to draft that ordinance.
But we can do a moratorium under the law. The floodplain ordinance is that, and I've heard different interpretations as to whether or not regulating floodplain, because we're not creating nonconformities. We're not downzoning. We're just saying you can't, we protect it under your floodplain. So the concern would be if don't have the ability in the next 180 days to pass that ordinance, this expires.
Correct.
And we can't just keep renewing this indefinitely.
Right.
In lieu of passing an ordinance.
I mean, we're only talking 6 months. It's not like it's.
I mean, I get it. I get it.
Would it be like we're putting like, Mr. Young on notice, he should go get the base. You should do that in the next 6 months. So that way it's out of it
Established.
going forward. Anyway, is that a fair assumption?
Possibly. Possibly.
If this is in place, though, they can't go ahead and do that, can they?
So they
It's
can do
done.
Survey.
You can get, yeah, you can get all the work.
Yeah.
Established that it's there.
Yeah. Establish what you got. I just hate to put anybody through that, you know.
Bury a copy of today's newspaper. So when you dig it up, well, there's the newspaper. No.
Yeah.
Well,
Yeah, in the next 6 months, y'all ain't gonna do anything, are you? I got you. He's the only one that got up and spoke in behalf of his issue. And we know this is gonna expire in 180 days. So it's just a matter if the council is okay with putting this moratorium in place, and we know our lawyer is okay with us doing so. Staff recommended we put this out to them to get drafting on it. They brought it to us and they got it checked out. So it's a matter, I'd entertain we gotta come out of public hearing to,
We do.
yeah.
So I make a
I-
motion to.
Well, any more
Oh, go
discussion?
ahead.
I got a question. So if we put this in place tonight, does it have to stay just like this for 180 days? Or can they look at it and redo it with the verbiage in there with this in place and then?
If you change it, it'll have to go back to a public hearing again, and then basically we're just doing this over. It's that easy.
Well, if we approve this tonight and staff works on getting another one ready that has the verbiage in there for the property that's in the flood shed, but or the watershed, but already raised, get the verbiage for that to where.
I almost think if we go ahead and pass this tonight, that gives them the wheel turning to, they got 180 days, staff has 180 days to draft up an ordinance that we would go by moving forward. And then as soon as it's in, we have a public hearing, we could put it in play and immediately drop this if it was before the 180 days. Because there's a lot of other things that they're gonna be working through in there with it.
Right.
And I guess they've got confidence that we can at some point put this in, because when I went down and talked to Moffett and Balcom, that they was gonna give us some floodplain relief and some farmland for relief, and that was possibly all we was gonna get as far as downs on it. So none of that has come to tuition yet. Probably the bills hadn't been seen and went through crossover, but I'm just saying, we don't even know, I don't feel confident that we can even do any more than this moratorium for right now, until we get some power vested. I understand your non-conformance and all, but when you talk to Sharon and all about it, she says, you're gonna have a little help from Raleigh on it. It's on how you read it. You read it one way, I read another, you know, and they do it on purpose. Do you think as a fair statement as to what I said, this gets, staff's wheels turning to get this drawn up the way we'd like to see it, bring it back and forth to us 2 or 3 different times and.
Yes, sir. I mean, I believe that, but yes, this gives the direction to staff that we, yeah, to your point, we have 180 days to try to find and do our due diligence to get something in place that meets your expectations.
I just don't want to pass a 180-day moratorium and then come back in here a month and a half, 2 months from now and just change a little verbiage and do it again.
Because we wouldn't necessarily get another 180 days at that point.
No, you don't.
You're just modifying what you got.
Otherwise, we could keep passing these things.
Yeah, exactly.
And
Okay.
Yeah, I think they'll get it fixed in the official one that will go, so another council changed it. Potentially.
And in that, we can put a statement that it's reasonably substantiated that the fill existed prior to the date of the report. But leave it reasonable rather than having to go through a whole bunch of hoops to prove it. Because we don't know.
There ain't gonna be but a handful of them that's on commercial, which we're not gonna notice the field going in there. Okay, so,
I make a motion to close the public hearing.
all right, thank you. Second,
Second.
James second. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Hearing none. Now I entertain a motion on this moratorium.
I make the motion to approve the moratorium and adopt the ordinance 2025 XX. Establishing shit.
Okay, Brian made the motion, second.
I'll second.
James second. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Hearing none. Okay. All right, moving on to other business. Anybody got any other business?
Sorry, Mayor and Council, I do have one brief item that came before me this afternoon, actually from the League of Municipalities. They have an item where they've requested each town or each municipality to designate a delegate for voting purposes on their upcoming board of directors. And so I've just asked council to provide, if you're so willing to, provide somebody to stand up as a delegate and vote for that to be able to make those votes with the league.
They get much of fees.
Do you have to drive down there?
It's an electronic voting. So basically what I would do is whoever is voted, I would put your information in, they'll send you a link and you would be able to vote. Well, I would say that would be my preference since it's a board of directors.
I'll volunteer.
You'll do it? Oh, you volunteer me or you volunteer?
I'll volunteer myself unless you want to volunteer yourself.
Yeah, you do it because I'm on the MPO and the
By
regional council.
motion,
I
somebody,
make a motion that Councilman Kimball be volunteered or accept his volunteerism
the delegate to the
as a
league.
delegate.
Second. James, okay. All in favor? Any opposed? Hearing none. Is that all you got for us on business? So I'm looking for a motion to adjourn
Hold
our
on.
regular agenda.
I got other business.
Oh, you got,
Yeah.
sorry.
I know we looked at, obviously with the bills that are coming before the House and the Senate, they're super aggressive on taking our power away. So I think if we do get a chance, if they repeal Senate Bill 382, I think we need to be ready to move on any legislation or any zoning that we want to do. So I think it would be potentially of interest to look at, maybe a future agenda item or something to look at mixed use and taking some of the uses in mixed use and getting that before the planning board now so that they can start working on it, so that if they do repeal that, then we can get it passed. And we could even go and have the public hearing, but not vote on it.
Yeah.
So,
So, residential field is gonna be another issue we're gonna have to try to figure out. We just gotta keep in mind, I talked to Troy and I talked to, Dusty about it, but if we put zero fill in there, and then say they need to go through and fix a road or something, they really can't. If we've got zero fill. Now, what that magic number, but that's something else the planning board needs to help us figure out, is what is,
maybe they could just exempt public utilities.
maybe,
That way, like a power company has to put a power station.
maybe it's that simple. In
I'm sure they
fact,
want to raise the one at Jeffries Road now.
Exempt DOT from their road. Because I know areas where the DOT has worked on the roadway, but they can't raise it.
Yeah.
You just
Because they
have
were-
to go back to exist.
Yeah. So that's something I'd like to see worked on too, and I'm sure there's other things that people think of we need to probably get in line. But from, it's not looking good. It's not looking good. They're stripping us everything they possibly can. They're taking, I mean, like quarter acre lot sizes is,
The 266 one too it's crazy.
oh, yeah.
It's like you can do anything in floodplain
Oh,
because of the lake.
yeah. It's crazy. I mean.
There was
it's
one
just-
of them that I seen that it was, if you allow a single family, you have to allow duplexes, triplexes, quadplexes, fiveplex, and sixplexes. The same thing.
You've read it all, ain't you? And what I thought would have happened would have been a role reversal from what is happening. Y'all? I mean, I can't imagine.
Well, I think the two parties are seeing an alignment because you have one side that's saying it's property rights. You know, the other side that says we need more affordable housing.
Yeah.
So they're finding a common ground
Yeah.
on the two.
Right, exactly.
So
Okay,
that's it. That's all. So I make a motion to adjourn.
thank you. Second?
Second.
Thank you. All in favor?
Aye.
Now, we'll,
I make a motion to open our business meeting.
all in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Mayor and council, I think these are going to be just a couple of brief items for you, but to bring them before you now for discussion. So if there's direction, then we can bring it for you at the April 24th meeting. The first one is the Volunteer Appreciation Day discussion, and that one is about, as it states, being able to celebrate our volunteers. So it's something that I've talked to each of you all individually over time about the amazing volunteers that stepped up during Hurricane Helene to help us with our resource hub and help this community. And so staff got together to try to talk through what an appropriate way to celebrate them would be. And so what we are recommending is to have a Hurricane Helene, Volunteer Appreciation Day at an upcoming movie night in the park. All right. And so what we're recommending is the June 14th date. That is when we're going to be showing a PG movie, The Wild Robot. And so it'd be a family-friendly time. I believe it's PG. I have to double check. It is a kid-friendly movie. And so I hear the kids love it. I've not seen it yet. So what we're also looking at doing is looking at being able to celebrate by giving each volunteer that we can check off the list a voucher for the food that's there. So we're going to have multiple food vendors and be able to just provide them with a meal and snack and have that, and then perhaps a little thank you gift as well. And so we have approximately 360 volunteers that we have a list for. We're really thinking there's probably going to be more, about 200 or so max, that we're going to be looking at being able to be here that evening. But because it's a unbudgeted item, if council is amenable to it, we'll have it bring it forward April 24th. We're looking at probably a budget of about $6,000 to cover those expenses that we're looking at. Again, it may be less depending on what the actual turnout is. But if council would like for us to move forward with that direction would be helpful tonight. We bring that item for you at the next meeting, but then also we could start getting the logistics running around that. So happy to answer any questions.
By consensus, everybody okay with that?
Yeah. Would it be possible, the folks that worked at the DOT during it, I know they may not be able to accept it legally because it's really pretty strict what state employees can accept. But you know, our folks have been working a lot. Boy said 80 hours a week. 40 of those is volunteer. So I don't know, is that an unreasonable ask, or is it just simpler just to keep it the list that you have?
Well, I think that you bring up a great point, Councilmember Moore. I think the intent of this is those that we can document that volunteer specifically here at the town of Mills River who signed in, who helped to keep the resource hub running for those 10 days. I mean, again, this is your event though, so if you would like to open it up for more, then that's part of this discussion.
I think you're right. It's easier to document it based on who signed it. You will have a proclamation someday.
Well, we're gonna do that.
Partners.
Everybody okay with that?
Mhm.
So you got steering wheel on that one.
Okay.
Get it rolling, bring it back to us.
Thank you, Council.
We're moving on to that, election filing date.
Yes. Yeah, Mayor and Council, on this one as well, we became aware at the end of March, there was a local bill request, SB 130, that the city of Hendersonville put forward with Senator Moffett as the primary sponsor. It's looking at changing the filing period. And my understanding is Senator Moffett put a bill back at a point earlier that moved the filing date from July back to December. And this would, city of Hendersonville is asking to move it back to July. So he's the primary sponsor on that. And so it's more right now providing guidance to me whether or not you all have interest, and also asking Senator Moffett to include our name on that local bill as well. I have not spoken to him specifically about this, but since it affected all municipalities, it came onto our radar, and I believe other municipalities are having a similar conversation.
December's a long time before November.
It is
It's a long
11
time.
months out, and I'm in favor of them changing the dates back to the way they were, because we used the last election as a point. The last election became extremely partisan because you had a person who didn't attend any events, didn't do anything, never had any volunteer, and they got 1,300 votes.
Because they were on a voter's guide,
Yep.
partisan voter's guide.
So I think if it's off years, then it forces people, they're there with intent.
Now this bill is not moving
Changing.
elections to the off year.
Right, and that's why I think that's what the problem I have with this bill.
That's what-
Is he wants to include, now that's gonna be weird for y'all because y'all got an extra year, so I don't know if they're gonna take a year away or give you another year.
It don't matter. It don't matter.
Unless you want to do another 2-year stint.
But I will say this has affected you guys. I always had the short deal, so I can understand that.
Yeah.
So if y'all want to jump on board with this, I'll support that.
I don't think it hurts anything.
And Jeff, maybe it was weird filing in December and having to wait all the way till really July, August before you even started doing anything.
I was the first one that filed because I figured I better do it before. Yes.
Yeah.
Before something comes up, I don't have time to get over there.
If you put your name on that, I'm for this, but if you put your name on this, and then they do like they did on 382, is there a fear in that?
There's a fear in anything with it, but it's not dangerous. It's just more an attitude thing that you'll get from it.
I think I would be in favor of it, but there's more discussion to be had. You know what I'm saying? It's not just like we're gonna sign on to what this is.
But, that other deal was his deal.
It was.
So you probably can get on this, but that other train, I ain't so sure how he's just gonna be to get changed up.
And just for clarification, this is giving me guidance to reach out to Senator Moffett to see if he's amenable to adding our name to it. It's a local bill. It's his bill to add or.
Right, exactly. We're just asking. So by consensus or
I'm good with changing the filing dates, but I don't want to be added to the bottom list of a train.
Well, you get put wherever
Well,
Moffett puts you on that deal. You okay with it though?
for the filing dates only.
Okay. You okay? James, you okay? Yeah. Brian, you
Yeah.
okay?
Okay. And that's all I have on my list. I don't have any potential future agenda items before you.
Anybody, got something like that?
I got something I'd like to talk about. It's gonna take some research to make sure how it would look and how it benefit the town and our residents. I'd like to discuss, I know we talked about it informally, the idea of taking more roads into this town system. As far as town maintained roadways, there are several subdivisions in town that are privately maintained, either through a homeowners association or whatever. I would not want to take over a private road that was in bad shape because town money, you don't have the money to go bring it up to standards. But if they are, say that they complete a paving process where they just repave a couple of roads out of the subdivision and they connect to the DOT road, then perhaps we could look in if that's something we're interested in. It's not just a total burden on us because we do get money from PAL bill. The question is, how would that affect our PAL bill? I know it's not linear. If you get $10 for 1 mile, you don't necessarily get $20 for 2. You might get $12 for 2. So I would want to make sure that it's something that benefits us, but it is different, increased services that we can provide. And, that is money coming into the town. Would require that staff would have to track it and contract out maintenance, contract out snow removal, etc. So, I mean, these are a whole lot of things to discuss. So it's not just hey, let's talk about it next meeting and make it happen. No, I just want to get that out there for us to think about as a town. Are we getting close to a point where we need to think about things like that? And there may be even some DOT maintained roads and subdivisions the DOT would be willing to give us. And I'm pretty sure they would be willing to give us. So something to think about.
Well, Councilmember Moore, again, your suggestion here, and if council is open to it, one of the things that I'm currently going through with our budget right now is looking at evaluations that we could look at starting going into FY26. Again, in-house, what I call in-house evaluations. This is something that I'm happy to put on the list for consideration going into FY26. To your point, because it's a big ask. There are a lot of moving parts, no pun intended, around roadway conversations. But there's something that we can look into going into next year if that's something that staff, that council would like.
And you don't want to spend a whole lot of time on it. Just kind of, I think the first answer I'd like to have, if you don't mind, is how will it affect the PAL bill money? If we add 5 miles of roads, are we going to get 5 times the PAL bill money? Or, is that something that, I don't want to get us into a situation where we get a bunch of roads and then go broke trying to keep them up.
I would suggest if at some point we get maybe the village manager from Laurel Park over, they've got a lot of roads. And I know they're always talking about how much money's going out and all this. And so it would be interesting to see how they deal with it. That'd be something to see, how they went from nothing to where they're at and why that's got that way. And do they like it? Is it more encumbersome than it is to let the state take care of it? Is being able to take care of it on their grounds better than waiting for the state?
Yeah, and that's where that comes into effect. For instance, snow removal. If you live on a state maintained road, you may not get your snow removed as quickly as if the town maintained the road. If we only had 5 miles, even if we used a blade on the front of a pickup,
Or a contractor.
or a contractor, we'll get there sooner because the DOT's focusing on what they call bare pavement routes, I-26 and 191, 280. the routes that, are vital is, you live on Schoolhouse. Or, the dead way up North Mills River, we're gonna be waiting upon. Another thing that brings up is, well, our contractors gotta get there. How do they get there? Or, so I know the DOT provides salt. Anyway, that's taking up time to that. Just something to think about.
Understood.
Okay.
Anything else? James?
Sandra?
No.
Okay. All right, I need a motion to adjourn our business meeting.
So moved.
Second.
Second, third, fourth, and fifth. All in favor? Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Here none.